on a hump day. Mike D and Coop here. Coop, how you doing, brother?
Doing well.
We
Feeling
got
good. Feeling great.
right, man. We got a lot to get to today. We want to welcome everybody into the room. I want to make sure all of my stuff is cleared out
Yeah,
so we can
I'm
get to
still getting
wherever.
myself together too.
You know,
I
it's
don't think, yeah.
it's always a long show day whenever we have a show. So but people don't see all the stuff that we got to end up doing behind the scenes before we do the show.
Yeah, I
But
mean, even like the situation of situating our lives for the day around doing the show at the time that we do it, there's certain things that we have to make sure get taken care of before, so we don't have to do them after.
once we're here, everything's great. Yo, salute to everybody in the room, man. We got everybody coming in the room. Tell a friend, tell
It
a
is.
friend. Thumbs up, man. You know what? We got to get to this T-Pain shit and the disrespect with Pop because we're not allowing that. That shit got
That
me
we're
heated
starting.
listening to it again. No, we're not gonna start there. We're gonna wait till everybody get in the room. But I
We're
want the
starting.
people in the room to know where we're going with this. Cause that shit is listen, man, it seems like week to week we have to do this shit. It's Michael Jackson, it's Prince, and it's like, really, man? But we're gonna address all that.
You wasn't talking greasy like this when these dudes was here,
Exactly, and they still wouldn't.
and
You know what I mean? Like you sitting
you
here,
still
and
sitting
we'll
right.
get to it. We'll
No,
get to it.
like you know, somebody once said to me, like, you should always like treat a woman like your mother's right behind you, watching what you're doing and what you're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's kind of how you should kind of like treat the deceased as well
it's
at times.
sucker shit. Period.
Right.
And the way it was, even if it was taken out of context, I didn't listen to the whole interview. But even if you take clips out and you feel a certain way about things, first of all, you shouldn't be speaking on the dead that's not able to defend themselves anyway. But if you
Very
want to
probably.
go there on the technical level, there's ways to do this and ways to speak on things where you're not being disrespectful. You know what I mean? But anyway, did you hear the Mugs and Freddie Gibbs and Scarface record?
I did.
What's it called again, man? It's at the tip of my tongue.
Street made, I
Street
think. I
Made.
believe
Yep,
is
Street
yeah.
Made. I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm looking
No.
forward to what Freddie's about to, release. I don't know if you saw the full video that Muggs put out for the song, or you just heard the song. It's like an 11-minute video,
Oh,
and
that
so
I mean, yeah, it's like he did like a whole little like mini TV show. But you know me,
hmm
like I'm a head, so it's like I was like, no, I'll get to that after I've heard just the song straight up and down. So I went
no.
somewhere else and just got the song straight up and down. And in true head fashion, I didn't go back and watch the video.
Well, the thing is, man, it was like I went there first because I was thinking it might have been a full on video per se, and I didn't even see that it was 11 minutes. I was doing a lot of things, and I just kind of clicked the one that was at top because I was on YouTube with it. And I love how they were building up the fact that Scarface is about to retire. He's going on his final tour, because you probably didn't see all of that stuff. But yeah, they gave Scarface the flowers that he deserves going into his verse.
Okay,
Somebody said Freddie about to drop album of the year. I could see that.
it's
If
a
that
possibility.
happened, I wouldn't be totally shocked.
I mean, I believe roughly a month ago, I stated that it looked like it was setting up for Freddie, Nas, or Black Thought to slide right on in here with some album of the year stuff. Like he's right there. And think about the names that I just said him next to.
It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy that we're getting albums from those two, well, those three, in like including everything else that we've gotten this year already. It's been a
Thanks.
pretty good year for hip hop. Shout out to everybody in the room. Thumbs up in the chat, thumbs up, and like and subscribe. We're almost at 8,000 subscribers, so tell a
Yeah.
friend. I think we're about what 45 or something away. Tell a
We might be there
friend.
by Friday. It'd be cool to be there by Friday.
Man, shit,
Kind of
it'd be
celebrate.
cool to be there by tonight. We got all these people in the room. We can get there. But no, I think it's a dope record, and I do like the combination of Scarface and Freddie and Muggs, because the production of Muggs is dope. I mean, we go all the way back to the whole Soul Assassin shit back in the day. Like Muggs has always been dope with the production. Isn't
So
doesn't Alchemist come from him?
correct.
Okay.
Originally, because Cypress Hill.
Yep.
I mean, Alchemist was an understudy of Cypress Hill. That would make him Muggs' main understudy, and obviously most notable protege. And so one thing that you'll find with Muggs is a real hip hop aesthetic.
Right.
You know, when Goody Mob did Decisions and rapped over the Muggs beat, that's when I realized they were like a hip hop group and not just like a Southern hip hop group. I'm like, oh no, they rapping on Mug shit. Like,
I love that record, man. Beautiful record.
Decisions is one of Goody Mob's best songs. That's a top 5 Goody Mob song, Mike. Wouldn't you agree?
It might be. It's one of those Benz or Beamer sleepers for them.
I equated two Benz or a Beamer, and actually the best lyrical performance between the two songs is CeeLo on Decisions.
Well, that's not even a question. And I want to get to that list too, and we're gonna get to that later on in the show. To put it in context, because I had CeeLo at number 3, and I figured that this was a good way to kind of talk about it real quick. This is a list that I wrote out. I want to say maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and
I feel like it was 4.
Yeah, something like that. And it was just me kind of coming off the top, and I'm sitting there. You know how you go back and look at some of your lists and be like, "Damn, I messed up here and I messed up there." MJG is definitely too low in my opinion. Now,
who?
MJG, definitely too low. CeeLo's a little too high, and I love CeeLo. And I was like, well, you know what? The perfect thing to do would be to put it out there, see what people comments are, and talk about it on the show and talk about where I went wrong 4 years ago.
Well, I did my 50 today since.
Oh, you did one? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I did a 50 piece for you of what I think. I share some similar sentiments as you. Matter of fact, I almost echo all of your sentiments about what you said about your list, because
3,000 is too high on my list now too. Yeah.
Huh?
3,000 is too high on my list.
Oh, I was about to say, well, I took Andre and CeeLo down.
Yeah.
But I did take MJG up.
Yeah, MJG's a monster, man.
MJG's super high on here.
We got so much to get into today. We're probably just gonna get into it. But before we do get into it, I want to wish Doom a happy heavenly birthday. 51st birthday it would have been for MF Doom. Can't believe he's gone, man. He's one of those guys that was such a shadowy figure in hip hop, where it's like you didn't see him a lot. That his presence is missed with the music that was consistently coming out, but we never saw him anyway. So it's almost like you still can't believe he's gone. He's one of those guys that's really, when we talk about the internet era of the underground hip hop scene, he's a martyr for that, and he really opened up the floodgates.
I was about to say, I think he's kind of like the kick it in the door underground internet champion, wouldn't you say?
I agree.
He's the first person to really set it off on that level for like the underground, like rap nerd. Because here's the thing, I don't even know if necessarily there was a such thing as being a rap nerd before MF Doom. Being a rap nerd before Doom consisted of Wu-Tang Clan and Outkast. You were a nerd if you liked both of those groups at the same time. That's not too deep. Or if you like hieroglyphics, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or some of I guess 40 and shorts, early Bay Area stuff, Master P before the distribution deal with Priority. That could be considered rap nerd stuff, but Doom definitely did something different with his level of lyricism, but also too, it's it's rap. It was actually kind of nerdy. It was super wordy.
Superhero rap. It's that comic book shit.
Right. I didn't want to say it like that.
Fan myself. I grew up as a comic book fan and a hip hop fan, and I think the closest thing we had to that was honestly Ghostface, and it really wasn't the whole Wu. It was Iron Man. You know what I mean? And I think that those
Ghost was so gangster when he did it. That's what I mean.
Yeah. But Ghost he's coming from the clan.
Even when he played, he wasn't fragile or intelligent Tony Starks. He was gangster ass Tony Starks about to take flight and fuck shit up if you play with him.
Right.
That's not the Doom. Doom gave you that nerdy, vulnerable side to a real rap nerd's thought process who, like you said, Mike, likes comic books and anime and just likes the idea of putting funny words together for the sake of what it sounds like to put the words together. That's
even
rap
the
nerd.
Production, yeah. Man with the super chat says Devin the and Rhapsody are too low on this list. Okay, we're gonna talk about this, and we're And, some of these people are going to get raised up. I know Currency's going to get raised up. Dumb It Down says, Doom is one of the most creative rappers ever. Yeah, I mean, when you create a whole lane, and I know Cool Keith's influence on Doom is strong, but Doom took this to the internet age, and, you could see his influence all over the place, from Tyler, the Creator, to, I mean, it's everywhere. And,
Well, so some of that is like a timing thing too.
Yeah.
He came along at the right time.
I think timing's everything, period. I think if Wu-Tang drops in 90, it's different than dropping in 93.
Well, they can't drop in 90. Like Rakim and like Public Enemy, you know what I'm saying? Are still like, you know what I mean?
I think the person whose window that I've experienced was so tight and so perfect, was Luda. I feel like if Luda came out 2 years earlier or 2 years later, it wouldn't have worked the same.
He slid in a nice little gap in a nice little pocket. It's very smart. Man.
He got in and got out at the perfect time too. Like he got in right when records were selling crazy, and he was able to transition to acting right when records stopped selling.
He's on this list.
Yeah, he's on this list. Somebody said thank you for acknowledging Scarface at number 1. Yeah, he's a runaway number 1.
That's not even. We're not even.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say runaway, right? I think someone could make an argument for Wayne, and I never thought I'd say this, but someone could make an argument for Wayne being number 1.
Well, we're gonna talk about my top. Well, we're gonna talk about my 2 and my 3 because it's like I actually put number 3 at number 2 first, and then I was like, but hold on. So we need to talk about it.
We'll talk about that. Because I'm switching my list all the way around. Because again, I wrote this list like 4 years ago. But first things first.
You got to update some things. That's all.
Yeah. Just got to update some things. First things first, man. Conway and Funkmaster Flex was going at it. And it started off with Kanye making a post. I'm not Kanye. Conway the Machine. Excuse me. Hopefully I didn't say Kanye twice. Conway the Machine made a post. I think it was Instagram Live, but he was just talking about the fact that Funk Flex needs to be replaced, basically, about some younger energy because they're not playing, certain records, and basically they get no burn on Hot 97 like that. Funk Flex responded. Man, Funk Flex responded a few times, but this is one of the more notable ones. Flex responded, says, Conway, ha ha ha. So, let's begin. You're managed by Roc Nation, Jay-Z, signed by Shady Records, Eminem, distributed by Interscope Records, a major label. You and your team have had features from Jay-Z, Eminem, Lil Wayne, J. Cole, Jadakiss, Travis Scott, French Montana, and more. Wasn't you on Kanye's Donda album? I'm going to give you advice Paul Rosenberg should have gave you. You're 40 plus bar rapper. Sorry, lyricist, that had every resource possible. You say sorry, lyricist, that had every resource possible. If you're not happy with your career as of today, with all those cosigns, think you've peaked, my guy? What do you think? You're only going to take this as disrespect because truth might be a bit much for you. Signed, Grandpa Wheelchair Bandit, Warm Milk General. I might need a podcast. What do y'all think? Let me get this super chat real quick. 9 Plus says Jay Electronica should be higher based off of skills, but lack of catalog, guys. Those things matter. Okay.
Hold on. But I have Jay Electronica significantly higher because his bar level has not declined, and he has actually done some output in the 4 years.
He's done a lot more work than when I originally wrote this.
Mike, it's the only work he's done. He's done all the work since you made the list. What do you mean? There's Exhibit C, the original Shiny Suit Theory, and then there's the work that's been done since.
Then there's like the Ghost of Christopher Wallace, stuff like that. Okay.
Free Cutter was a great.
Okay, what are your thoughts on this whole Conway the Machine and Funk Flex situation?
From what side and from what perspective? Because there's a lot.
I mean, from where do you want to start? I mean, you can start from Conway's side since he started the dialogue.
Okay, so Sometimes it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And so some of the stuff I agree with, some of the stuff I do not agree with. You know, he did another statement. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but, you know, he made another statement.
Do you have it, or I'll look it up while you're talking?
Yeah, he was talking for about 9 minutes.
Okay.
And so he talked about a couple of things, but I want to address some perspective as well that I kind of shared with you. First of all, what he really said about the DJs is kind of what I said needs to happen with the people at the award shows, isn't it? It's like I told you, it's like, you know, not any disrespectfully, find different jobs for these people who have gotten older. You know what I mean? Find executive level positions or new branches or divisions or new positions for these people. Or, give them a very nice severance package and send them about their way because when you're in certain... No, listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
And it's only from this perspective. When you are in the entertainment business, youth matters, and not just in an age sense, but in a energy and in a breaking new ground kind of sense. It matters. You don't see 50-year-olds breaking new ground into stuff in the entertainment business.
Let me play devil's advocate real quick, and I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah.
Let's just say, hypothetically, they did get a 25-year-old in Flex's spot. Do you think Conway has a better chance of getting records played by that guy or Flex?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, by that guy. And I'm going to tell you why. Because here's where Flex said a lot of things that were correct. But Flex, forget something. Well, you used to be that guy, and the reason that you got that job was because you were that guy. Like, Mike, he didn't always have this job. He was a guy that broke records and kept his ear to the street.
He's a very good DJ, too.
Hold on.
A scratching DJ.
You know the first time I heard a guy called that was still going by literally the name Big Punisher? Not Big Pun, but going by Big Punisher. Yeah. You know the first time I heard Big Punisher rap? You know one of the greatest lyricists who ever rapped?
But that was Flex. The climate, Coop. I think what we're getting confused.
No, listen to what I'm saying. No, listen to what I'm saying, though. But listen to how long ago that was, okay? Part of why he got that position, what I'm saying is okay, here's what I'm trying to say.
Flex has been in position for a minute.
That's what I'm saying. Being
Angie
in this
position, used to intern for him.
This position needs a timestamp like being a senator or a mayor or a president. You feel me? Because like getting new blood is vital so the game doesn't get corrupted by people who are like he's so comfortable saying and doing anything. I'm not saying he's wrong for what he's saying. I'm saying the way that the whole process and the climate of it works. Like these dudes got it cushy is what Conway is really saying. Like
I can't co-sign Conway.
She's not letting me finish anything.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I can't co-sign Conway coming for Flex's job.
No, I'm not co-signing it.
Okay.
I'm not co-signing it because I'm not really okay. We're going to get to like Conway's side of it. I'm just addressing it from the perspective of it's like, well, you know me, Mike, I'm an evidence guy. And so I look at where Flex is and it's like, well, how did you get there? Well, you got there by being that guy that broke records and lyricists, albeit the climate and the time, because you're correct about that as well. The climate and the time was built for lyricists. In order to get on Flex shit, you had to be nice. So like boom, 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 bam, because that's how the climate was. Understood. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to tell you, and I've said this before, well, I don't like the fact that see, here's the thing. When these guys were DJs and they were breaking these records and stuff, that now like moved into these radio positions that they've held for like 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the money was different, Mike.
Yeah.
The money was different. And now putting these guys in these positions is kind of dangerous when they age, because this is about the streets, Mike. And you can't tell me some 50-something-year-old DJ who hasn't really broke a new artist literally like this century is like connected to what's matter in this culture properly.
Is that what
like,
Hot 97 is for? Like, is that what Hot 97's current objective is to break budding New York artists?
No, but that is still the purpose of the DJ. And so it's like, well, what kind of DJ are you? Because here's the thing, there are young DJs at radio stations that are doing that shit. And that's what Conway is saying. And that is more how this organic process is supposed to go. But what has happened is because an influx of money is coming to this business, in the span of the last 30 years, well, these DJs have just sat in this position where really they're supposed to move on and let somebody else have it and move on to other things. It's too comfortable. It's too safe. Everybody's too comfortable and too safe. When things are too comfortable and too safe, you really know what gets affected overall is the quality of the music. Well, we've already seen that.
Let me get to the super chat. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm going to get to this real quick. I'll let you finish. Nas the Goat says, Mike, the fact that you wrote this list 4 years ago and left out one of the hottest Southern rappers off, which is Future, is very problematic. I'll get to that too. And it's very hard for me to gauge Future. I've always said.
Consider Future to be a rapper.
Yeah, it's hard. J. Short with the super chat says, Flex gave Conway the same energy Griselda gave A2HH. Griselda got big timed. Not a Flex fan, but I like what he did. Sorry, not sorry. That's another point that we can get to, and we can talk about that. With the super chat says, Flex Vex is a clown. He been out of touch with New York. All he does is play Southern artists, misrepresent the culture, and the Pete Rock disrespect is ridiculous. We're going to get to that too. Melvin Wright says, no Slim Thug. I should have Slim Thug on the list. Dante Smith says, but radio is not as important anymore. Rappers used to need Flex to put them on. That isn't the case now. Y'all said a lot of great things. Go ahead, Coop.
No, they are saying a lot of great things, and all of those things are valid. Okay, so this is one of those things where everybody in the room can be right about something and wrong about something. And I think that's really what's going on. Like Flex is right about some things and wrong about some things, and so is Conway. And that's really what's going on. And that's what I mean. There's a lot to unpack. And so the system, institutionally, how he's set up, and the way that these guys freely disperse their opinions now. Conway, when he did his follow-up, talked about his premise was not for radio play or placement on Hot 97.
Okay.
He literally said that.
What he said,
listen, this is exactly what he said. He brought up how they say things like on other people's platforms, how they don't fuck with Griselda like that. And how because they have such a national following because of who they are as DJs, that those opinions hurt the brand. And part of the reason why he said that he did the follow-up video too. See, this is why he's upset. He's saying these dudes are really talking in circles and talking on platforms. And like I told you, I was like, what if they're being typecast? And I think Conway's speaking to being typecast and stereotyped. And so then we're going to get into how an owner looks at that. But he brought up how critics and pundits looked at Lamar Jackson before the NFL draft. And when he said that, I was like, that's the way Conway should have approached it the first time. You know what I mean? Like his follow-up was way, way better than the beginning, because when he brought up the Lamar Jackson point, now he's speaking to being like stereotyped and typecast as something by people who are responsible for helping to control the narrative.
All right. This is what I'll say, and I didn't even hear him say that, and that's really interesting. This is the
follow-up. This isn't the original one. I just caught this in the last hour.
No, I was going to say, because I was talking to somebody earlier about some of the similar things, and I think it was somebody on my Facebook that posted about, the Griselda raps about guns, drugs, and this, that, and third. And I was like, well, this current Conway album is nothing like that. But for a lot of people, they're like, well, the tone has already been set. So it's a little bit too late to change those spots now and worry about getting typecasted now. You know what I mean? Like, you've kind of set the foundation. It's not fair, but it is what it is. Like, for a lot of people, that's what they identify the Griselda sound and the Griselda culture with, regardless of what he just put out. Because originally, when he said some of these things, I just immediately went to the Jill Scott record, because you and I were just talking about how big that record possibly would have been in like the 106 and Park days, because we were randomly talking about when BET used to play music videos. So we were like, that would have actually really pushed that record. And I believe that they feel like that record should be getting radio play. I think it should. And I know he's probably saying they're not doing this to get radio play or whatever, but they do got to feel a way that song doesn't get radio support in New York. I mean, it should.
Okay, so let's unpack a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
first of all, I think about stuff like this. He's not totally wrong because I'm looking at somebody like Ray and Ghost that never got the placements that they should have got. It's like, Ray and Ghost, if they get the placements that like Nas, Big, and Jay get, you know what I mean?
Okay, but we gotta dissect that though. Why didn't they?
But because they were like, well, first of all, the abstract wordplay.
Mm-hmm. The music they made.
The abstract wordplay is definitely like a major component factor in that, but their vernacular was more street and New York oriented even than those guys. It still came off as like too street.
Because even if we look at Jay, I think he's a great litmus test for this because he started talking a certain way, didn't get that mainstream attention until he started changing up his lyrical delivery and then got it.
Well, you want to know what I really thought about? It's like when I thought about this and I thought about Chanel Pearls with Jill Scott, and I was thinking to myself, if Method Man does this record gets a whole nother look and a whole nother feeling a whole nother vibe. And that's what Conway's talking about, because Conway's looking at it. It's like, no. That's a grimy nigga from Wu-Tang Clan. He just made I'll Be There For You one time and did some guest appearances like any other rapper can do. And so he feels like he's being typecast and stereotyped because they have been. And is it unfair? Well, if he's capable of making a song like Chanel Pearls, it is unfair because we didn't keep Method Man in that box when he made records like that. We let him step outside of that box and flourish. And so also, too, he's an owner now. Think about what an owner works for their artist.
Right.
And so if the owner's being typecast as a certain type of artist, what type of look is his artist about to receive?
Exactly.
How is Love, like you've heard Love, I've heard Love. We think she has Lauryn Hill type of capability with versatility and content making ability. How is she going to become that if she is going to be typecast because of who he is typecast as?
No, great points.
And so he's not, like I said, I don't like how he did it, but he had some insightful things. You have to look past, sometimes you just have to look past what people are saying and understand where people are coming from. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely.
Because here's what I thought about. Well, he's the owner now, but he's been on the artist side. And look at how long it took for him and Westside and Benny to get here.
One of the records that came to mind too, and before I lose this train of thought, the record with him and Omani Caesar on From a King to a God that was produced by Murder Beats, there's no reason that shouldn't have got any radio play.
It's not. It's because it was Conway, though.
If it's every, like, if we want to talk about sonically, if it's every, I guess, what do they call it now? Radio cycle. If it's all of their players, it's in there.
Look, it's got a great up-tempo beat that you can play in a variety of clubs.
From a producer that's all over the radio.
The producer's all over radio. There's a beautiful woman on there who actually is talented as well and that can rap. The bar work on there is coming from one of the best lyricists in the game.
The hook's dope.
The hook is dope. It's not missing anything.
No, it's not. Mike H.
Neither is Chanel Pearls. And so Conway is sitting back thinking, it's like, like Meth made I'll Be There For You to get treated a certain type of way, to be elevated to a certain type of status. What am I making this record for if it's going unrecognized? And that's what I was telling you about him being concerned about his legacy, which isn't totally wrong, because it's like this. It's like, well, it's real easy for history to miss shit and not note things properly. I think we've been finding that out since we've been doing this show. Yeah. He just wants his history to be documented properly. And so what's really happening is he's getting documented is that 40-something bar heavy rapper who got shot.
I want to talk about that comment too.
We need to talk about that.
Mike H with the super chat says, no love for Fat Pat, RIP, Top Drops, 25 Lighters. I love those records. Yeah, I need to. We'll talk about it. LP with the super chat says,
everybody's not gonna make it.
Everybody not gonna make it. LP with the super chat says Griselda makes low common denominator music. No amount of cosigns will get them past a certain point. That sound has never been overly popular. All right, there's a
Can we,
few things I do want to talk about, and man,
yeah, go ahead.
it's just so much going
It is. It's
on
a
this
lot.
topic. But what I want to go to before we get away from it is where and when and why did New York radio stop pushing the New York sound? And I don't think that Flex is responsible for that per se. And to go all the way back a little bit, I don't think Flex is the person. All right, you can judge. You can't really judge Flex by what he does on the radio. You can judge him by what he does in the clubs because he doesn't control what gets played on the radio, and that's just
It's
real.
not. It's not Flex. It's the way the institution started being set up to run, where people were being more concerned with fattening. Like, this is what I keep on trying to say, and I've told you this too behind the scenes. Man, it'd be hard for these DJs when they be running into, like, imagine having to sit down in like 98 with a Jay or a Nas for an interview, and you're like the biggest DJ in town, but this dude comes in and like he's literally wearing about like 5 to 7 years worth of your salary, like on his neck and on his wrist. And things financially start changing for you, that you have the opportunity, if you keep this job and move through certain avenues legally and viably, to acquire something that resembles that type of wealth. Well, you're going to be more concerned with that than breaking the street records then.
Yeah. You got to keep your
That's
job.
what happened.
And I think that's what people don't really understand. Flex has a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Straight up. Just like how you remember in like the early 2000s or whatever, it didn't matter what kind of rapper you were. You could be a street rapper, whatever. Nigga, you had to have a club single. That was your job to do that. They had to have a first single for you. You didn't want to make that record, but you had to make that record to sell that album. Flex has a job to do, and he plays
Right.
what they tell him to play. And really, if you really want to complain about those things, I think it needs to go further up, is what I'm saying. But I do want to ask the New York people in here, and maybe we can kind of get to where this started. Where do y'all feel like, what song was it that start getting on, let's just say Hot 97 specifically, that wasn't New York and kind of started to dilute the New York sound? Like, what song do you remember Hot 97 playing crazy enough where you were like, this ain't New York? Because I hear a lot of people say it was Lil Jon's Get Low, or it started in those type of...
No. It happened
That
around
time
that time.
period.
Well, you see, I have a problem with a few things. First of all, I have a problem with people who continue to espouse these comments about Griselda's rhetoric while they continue to be like Jay-Z, Mobb Deep, and Biggie Small fans. You get what I'm saying? It's like, you can't do that.
But
Like,
they
you don't
gave
get
us a little bit more diversity when it came to the radio records. I guess that's what someone would say.
No, okay, so let's go to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Conway's actually been doing the last few albums.
He has.
Like, literally the last 3 albums. And so get it? When those guys did it, first of all, Mobb Deep didn't do it until like album number 5, all right? So they were like well into their career and already legends before they even tried, all right?
Right.
So let's not make it seem like Mobb Deep was like that.
Well, no, this is the thing I got with Mobb Deep, man. I think Mobb Deep really tried to keep New York hip-hop alive. And
They did.
I think that they just weren't getting played. They had to play the game to get played.
Yes,
And
they
you're talking
did.
about that 112 record, right?
Yes.
You could tell they didn't want to make that record. I think Mobb Deep tried to keep that. I mean, because listen to Burn. They tried to keep this shit going. New York radio just wasn't rocking with them.
Right. But you can't be a Mobb Deep fan and a Jay-Z fan and a Biggie fan and be like, oh, I don't like how Griselda be talking about the streets and all this drug dealing. It's like, nigga, you were just playing the 10 Crack Commandments in 41st Side the other day. What the fuck?
But I think that it's the
It's the hypocrisy
it's just
of it
a lot.
all.
You know what I mean? I think that
No, it's the hypocrisy
Okay.
of it, Mike. It's the hypocrisy of it. It's like, you gonna sit up there and be a Mobb Deep fan, and enjoy hardcore East Coast hip hop, but say, oh, Griselda don't do nothing but talk about the streets. You're gonna be a Jay-Z and a Biggie fan, where like literally a lot of the rhetoric, especially some of the best rhetoric, is drug dealing rapper rhetoric. And be like, oh, well, I don't like how they always talk about selling weight. It's like, what the fuck is reasonable downfall you want about? The best song on Ready to Die is Everyday Struggle. He's talking about his life as a hustler.
Yeah. LP with the super chat says, starting around 06 with NY's beefs and the program director Ebro, it got too political and the South started to pull up numbers on NY dudes wasn't. Pulling numbers at NY dudes wasn't. So a lot of people try to bring that to 50 too, because at the end of the day, 50 was doing numbers.
50 was going down.
50 was doing more numbers than anybody down here. LP says Flex was praising Harlow, shaking my head. He don't get a pass. Jay Short with the super chat says Nas and Face never really got radio play like that. It's real.
No, that's real. If I Rule the World and Hate Me Now are the only Nas songs I can ever remember getting played on the radio. Like, to the point that I was like, damn, they playing that record a lot. Like, okay.
Well, here's the other question I have, and I guess the other thing that we do have to address. Why does a person like Conway and that's in a collective like Griselda that is getting so much grassroots support, why does a person that is riding that kind of wave and has the platform he has just really based on getting no play, why does he even care about getting play? And who actually listens to the radio like that in 2022 anyway?
That's what I mean about how this could have been an owner's comment, because I'm going to go back to some of the previous comments that I was kind of bringing up. Well, look at how long it took. I mean, so West Side's the brains of the original Griselda operation. So let's look at West Side. Like, West Side's the boss, and his artists are Benny and Conway. Those are two great artists to have to start your company off with, especially the fact that you're actually a pretty dope rapper yourself and actually the best one at putting together projects. That's a nice little trio to start off with, to walk through these hip hop doors and get shit cracking on any level, okay? Blessed to have that type of caliber of MC walking in the door. This is no disrespect to Love or Jay Skis or Armani.
I think they got some dope artists too.
Well, they do. Yeah. The only one of them that kind of rings on the level of Benny and Conway, though, is potentially Stove. Maybe Love and Armani when they round into whatever they're going to become. But Stove is the only one that like strikes you at that level. Like, whoa, who is that?
I think the way Jay Benny and Conway too.
Did. No, the way Benny and Conway did at that level, it's like, no, that motherfucker might have next, like, period.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, Benny and Conway gave you joints and gave you verses, like Conway's verse on The Cow, Benny's verse on Gods Don't Bleed, where it's like, oh no, that nigga might have like next, like, period. Stove's the only one that's come up after them that really gives you some of that effect. And that's not to disrespect anybody, because as far as a camp of dope MCs, they have the dopest MC camp in the game. If you take all their collectors and put them together, it's not even a question.
Period.
MC-wise, they got the best collective. Period. Because they got a few. Just having Che, Love, and Armani within the framework of some sort of collective. I don't think any collectives had 3 female MCs like that could spit like that. Mike, do you? Can you think of one?
No, you're right. It's crazy.
That's crazy. No. They got the spitters, they got the hitters, and because they got the spitters and they got the hitters, they're looking at how long it took them to get here, and they're like, I don't want that shit for my artist. I don't want them to have to do this for 4, 5, 6 years just to get to this point, just to not get radio play. They're trying to change things for their artists, maybe.
And with
that's what I would want my boss to do. I would want my boss to go act a fucking fool about paving the way for me, if that's what it took.
You're right.
For me to get some more motherfucking airplay or airtime, or to be looked at differently. He's doing what a good boss is supposed to do.
Well, that's
it's
what
called
they're supposed to do.
Leadership.
No, you're right.
It's called servant leadership. Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to do. Ed with the super chat says, it started when NYMCs started stealing the South style during the ringtone era. Mims, this is why I'm hot.
This is why I'm hot. There we go.
I could go down a whole rabbit hole, and I'm going to do that real quick. Marquez Davis says, I agree with you, Coop, but I'm sure you remember when Biggie was anointed as the next big thing, and he fulfilled that. Everyone knew that Biggie was special. Anything he did, people were going to soak it up. And LP with the super chat says 50 consolidated the fan base and sales in New York. And he also says that Nas tried to tell everybody in '02, but they fronted. That is the truth. And that is one of my favorite interviews of all time. It's a very inspirational interview. I do want to get to that Southern comment. Okay, so sonically in the 90s, the NY sound was, would you say, largely based on samples, right?
I mean, hip hop is based on samples. James Brown,
Yeah.
Clyde Stubblefield.
Of course.
The funky drummer. Clyde Stubblefield is the funky drummer.
Of course he is. But I'm just saying, like in the 90s, like the hip hop, East Coast hip hop stuff that we were hearing on the radio, that's more sample based.
Yes,
even some of our favorite East Coast producers of all time, very heavy on samples. I think, and I've heard this before as well, when the South came through with people like Manny Fresh, Beats by the Pound, they didn't sample too heavy either. Even with the Neptunes when they came in the door, really weren't sampling too heavy either. They just had a price tag out of this world. Lil Jon, no sampling there. The budgets for Southern artists were just, you were able to maximize your budget. You didn't have a sample budget. You didn't have to clear all these samples. And so when they saw that people down south were selling records, specifically Cash Money, in this fashion, they were like, I'm not paying for these sample clearances anymore. Do what these niggas did. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
and that's why you probably got a lot of East Coast mainstream guys sounding like, as you say, sounding like the South.
So for me, that's actually a Master P thing.
Okay.
Because I feel like Master P, what he did and the way that Master P set up shop is that he set up shop in a manner. And this is why if anybody should ever sign in, like, that mobile conversation, who should you sign to? This guy. Because he set up an in-house shop that literally like set it up. We're going to use who we need to use on the outside as little as possible. As little as possible.
I do think, though, I think Master P, in one of his missteps, and, it happened to Berry Gordy, too, with HGH, I think that he undervalued Beats by the Pound. And when he didn't give them what they wanted, they were done. And he had the mentality because, again, he came from the Bay, and he had a sound before them. He was like, well, shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you guys don't want to rock, I can pick up and still be good. And that wasn't the case because what made No Limit big was that Beats by the Pound collective. And I think that was one of the missteps.
There was 4 of them, correct?
I believe so, yes. Wasn't Moby Dick in that collective? I thought Moby Dick was in that.
4-man collective. Okay. But here's what I'll tell you, and you're right, that is a misstep because it's like, you can, and listen to me, you can fire a producer, you can fire 2. But you can't fire 4 and expect shit to be the same. Ain't nobody ever did that in music history and been the same. So he really, everybody feels himself to the point of thinking, and think about how many people are probably trying to give him tracks and he's hearing all this stuff from here and he's thinking it's like, no, it's not the same when you got a chemistry, when you got an energy, when you got to understand it. Sometimes it's not always about the beat. It's about the energy.
That's what his artist was saying. The artist was saying, look, this ain't the same anymore. Because they've developed a rapport with Beats by the Pound and how they create, and they've already got a rhythm going. And, you don't mess with that rhythm,
No, so, I mean, it was great walking into the studio to do, like, my second album with my cousin. Well, we did an album together. I did half of my first album across the country in Cali. I came back and finished up with him. By the time it was record my second solo joint, he had all my shit ready to go. It was like walking in and it was like, so what you want to do today? It's like, nope, I already got you there where you want to be. I already got you there for this where you want to be. I already got you there for that where you want to be. No. This beat sounds like this. So I already know that you want to do this, this, and this on this song. When you sent me this, I thought this, and this because of this, and this. And it's like, oh shit, nigga, let's go.
Yeah, I had my guy I worked with too, man, Art. It was like, we had our process. And I didn't want to work with anybody new, really. Somebody in the chat said Medicine Men as well. Forgot about them. And another big name that they pointed out that's important in this process is Swiss Beats. He changed a lot of things for New York sound too, because he wasn't sampling like that for the most part. And so, when songs like Rough Riders Anthem do the numbers that it does, and they don't have to clear anything, that changes things
It does.
from a
All that stuff
financial
changes
standpoint.
things. It was about comfort for the artist. It was about the money with not sampling. It was about keeping things in house. There was a multitude of things that was like going on that kind of led to that. Because here's what happens: if you don't sample, not only do you not have to pay, but you don't have to wait as long.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying P. That's why I'm saying P.
And you get your publishing too.
Like no nigga, like y'all don't sample, because if y'all sample, it might take 3 months to clear that. We not waiting 3 months. We got 3 weeks.
Yep. No, you're right. You can go ahead and record that shit, put it out now. Really, you don't have to wait on anything.
Yeah, P sitting in the background like, oh, that's firewall. Like we dropping that off tomorrow night.
Now let me ask you another thing, because I'm pretty sure. And because I don't know if there's anybody in this chat that's in Buffalo, but I'm pretty sure Buffalo Radio supports Griselda and its movement. Do you think that the apprehension at Hot 97 is a Buffalo NYC thing, possibly?
Conway alluded to that.
Okay.
He did bring up a borough thing, and that's kind of a thing, Mike. Like,
because I do believe if they were from the Bronx, that you probably wouldn't even be having this issue.
Like, how about this? Yeah. Like, if they were from Staten Island, wouldn't we be talking about them in relationship to Wu-Tang Clan all the time?
Let's just say they were from Brooklyn. Let's just say they were from Brooklyn, because Joey doesn't seem to have these issues, right?
Did he?
I mean, I think Joey gets play. I mean, again, I don't listen to the radio. I might not be the person to ask for this. Or maybe Joey's just of a generation where he doesn't give a fuck, because his generation doesn't listen to the radio anyway.
Yeah, I think that's more what it is.
What do you think about this whole notion of labeling Conway a bar rapper? And it sounded like, from Flex's rhetoric, that it kind of had like a negative connotation. And this is from somebody who has a freestyle series on his show.
Well, I mean, this is like a guy that like used to do records that Prodigy's rhyming on them, Big Punisher's rhyming on there, right. Raekwon and Ghost. You get what I'm saying? It's like, well, when you're talking about bars and like bar heavy rappers, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, he doesn't need to say that, because it's like, well, that's how you got to where you are. Bars. Even if that's not what it is now. Those bar-heavy rappers and breaking those bar-heavy rappers is how your ass got put in that position. And that's what Conway's talking about. It's like, nigga, bar-heavy rappers like me put your ass in the game.
Yeah, those mixtapes are classic. I mean, I think that the Fat Joe and Pun back and forth from the Flex, when they were rhyming over ice cream. That came on the other day just randomly, like on one of my playlists or whatever.
No, that's what I'm talking about. That's the first time I heard Pun. I was like, who's the guy rapping with Joey Craig? It's like, that guy can rap his ass off.
Because even the Big Cap in Funk Flex album, you remember that one?
Yeah, with it had the Biggie and Tupac freestyle on there. It had the Eminem. Rockefeller joint on there.
Yeah, it had
this Eminem. This is for my thugs. Sometimes for my ladies, but this is for my thugs. Where my thug niggas, slug niggas, jerk niggas. Yeah.
Eminem, if I get locked up tonight.
On there.
Yeah. It had the one of those remixes was on there. I had that album. Anyway, a lot of bars on there too.
A lot of bars. Bar heavy, and that was the later one. That was the Funk Flex Big Cap. That was like his fourth, because he did 3 by himself, and then he did the Funk Flex and Big Cap. All those shits are bar heavy. He got the Prodigy rapping over the Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with beat. Right. Shook Ones over Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. What you talking about, bar heavy rappers? That's how we loved you to begin with. That's what I mean. Sometimes you need to say less even when you're right. Like Flex would have been better had he said less, and he would have been totally right in this situation. But he kept running his fucking mouth too, and it's like, well, hold on, back up, because now you're talking too much.
Well, it makes me think.
I'm guilty of it.
It makes me think, though. It makes me think that he separates the guys that he's going to have here freestyling on his show from the guys that are actually going to get played on the show. And, I've always had a problem with that when it came to the BET Cyphers, even when BET used to play music, right? Because they would have guys or females in a cypher whose music they don't even support. And I always thought that was corny, because I remember, trying to come up as an artist, anything that I did was to get music played when it came to like radio media and all of that. I'm not gonna just sit here and freestyle and perform for you as a sideshow and you not looking out on the other end. And so I always felt like the BET Cypher was about that. And when Flex said that, it made me think, okay, well, he has the guys he designates for his freestyle cipher so he can get views on that. And that doesn't mean you're going to get radio play. Now, we can look at this two ways. We can look at it as Flex has control over that part of it, where he doesn't have control over who actually gets played, right? That could be one of the things, but and the other part of it is, I think people look at Flex's freestyles on YouTube more than they actually listen to Hot 97. So if you got a chance to rhyme on that, I think that's worth more than radio play on that station. But what you're saying as far as like him looking out for his other artists, that makes sense.
Yeah, he also said something else today, and this was, I thought, his strongest statement, because this is what I like to call one of these industry jabs where Conway has heard things and understand how this goes. He said, niggas is living off of the 90s. We don't need these niggas or to massage their egos. See, that lets you know the game's already been getting played improperly when an artist is saying that now. That's letting you know that the game's been corrupted. When the game's been corrupted on that level, it affects the music. And so Conway's approach is wrong. Some of the things that he's saying is wrong. He might even be the wrong person to say it, you could say. But he's making some valid points. But Flex is making some valid points too. But can I go to something? And I have a few more points that I want to make. But you want to know what I thought about?
What's that?
When Flex was given the rundown, and this is what I mean. And this could be coming from a personal place because Conway could be feeling this way. When he talked about all those links and all those plugs and all those connects and all those features, I'm going to ask you something, Mike. Just like it's one of those instinct things, because this is kind of how the streets work too. Do you feel like all of these people that have tied themselves to Griselda have really given Griselda their best shot, or if they just use Griselda, could they give themselves some current street credibility?
Wow. Well, I'm going for B. We almost got like 400 people in this room right now.
Well,
thumbs up in the chat. Thumbs up in the chat. No, I want to elaborate on that though.
Please.
I think that
I want to hear your thoughts on that.
When we look, because you're talking about the Rock Nation situation, we're talking about the Shady Records situation. So it's like, okay, when you look at
the M-verse.
Yeah. When you look at the situation with Conway and I think even Westside and Shady Records, one would sit back and think like, okay, well, what actually came of this, right? You know, from both sides. Why would they sign a deal like that? And why would, you know, Eminem signed them off of, you know, minimal output? And I say Eminem with Shady Records because that was the record company. I think Rock Nation, they're still working, right? I think we can honestly
With Benny, definitely.
I think Conway's still with Rock Nation, right? I could be wrong.
I'm not certain.
Okay, well, let's just say Conway got on that soundtrack where he was on the song with Jay and Jadakiss and, you know, stuff like that, right? So you could say that some of those things come from management, some of the touring that comes from management. But when we look from a record label standpoint, what exactly did M add on the surface to Griselda? Now, I do think from what I see from a fan's perspective and just from a media perspective, I see a lot of Eminem fans knew about Westside and Conway in ways that they wouldn't have known about it before. I will say that. But I do think that there is a part in they didn't really do a lot to propel them further than that. So I do think that getting that credibility and getting a little bit of that buzz that they were getting was a part of it. Maybe not for Rock Nation because they're a management company. It's hard to really tag that on them. They represent a lot of people, you know?
No, this is what I mean about getting somebody's best shot.
Mm-hmm.
When Nas signed to Def Jam, which was technically via through Jay, who was the president of the company at the time, he got a Black Republican verse out of Jay.
Yeah.
That's not a regular Jay-Z verse.
No, it's not. At that time, you weren't going to get a regular Jay-Z verse. Because if you look at Black Republican, look at the Hustlin' remix, because Rick Ross got a whole bunch of good Jay-Z verses, right? Maybach Music. And then you look at...
a bunch of great Jay-Z verses.
You look at the Go Crazy with Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was really doing what he needed to do to propel his artist. But let's be perfectly honest. And I'm not saying this to cast shade on anything. There's nothing that Eminem really could do on record to help Conway.
No, that's not fair. I do not agree with that.
Because when they did the record together, Eminem changed the beat. People didn't like the record. I liked Conway's part.
So that when you're saying that, that's what Conway's talking about. It's like, what did you do for 50? Because I went to Jay right quick with Black Republican, as opposed to that mail-in that he gave with Kiss and Conway. Like, that was a mail-in, and you know it.
Yeah.
Ain't even no way around it. He knows it was a mail-in, too. And that's what I mean. The energy and the love ain't been the same. That's what Conway's talking about. It's like, no, we ain't getting that type of love and energy. He's not getting no patiently waiting or don't push me out of Eminem.
No, that's true.
50 got patient. Hold on.
50 got one of Eminem's best verses.
Those might be the last two all-time great verses M did, and he gave him the 50.
Yeah. Yeah, I will give you that. I wasn't a huge fan. The
energy and the love is not the same, and that's where Conway's feeling its way. And it's like the fact that everybody thinks that he's just like all the way tripping and not seeing some of this stuff. It's like, well, hold on. I'm like, are you missing like what Jay like how Jay does for his artists normally, how M does for his artists normally? Like M got Obi Trice to go platinum.
No, you're right. I mean, listen.
D12 went platinum.
Even if we're talking about
pills, he's on Front Street for Purple Pills for D12 to make sure D12 like gets to where they need to go. And so Conway knows the love and the energy is not the same. And there's proof of that as well. So when Flex is just dropping the information, I'm like, no. That's why statistics don't tell the story. You just drop stats, but you didn't watch the ball game unfold.
You gotta watch the game.
Because he watched how the game unfold. That's why people are like when people bring up Allen Iverson's field goal percentage to Russell Westbrook's shooting percentage, it's like Russell Westbrook played with Kevin Durant for 10 years. Shut the fuck up.
Born King with the super chat says, my bad being off topic. No one mentioned the back of the album pic with the paid in full posse. One of the best album pics I saw as a kid. Real 50 Cent, Killer Ben, and my first time seeing G-Rap. Great show, fellas. 100. Appreciate that, Born King. Yeah, that is an epic album cover or back cover.
So G-Rap is right there. You see that? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What I was going to say, I was going to piggyback on something that you said. Oh, yeah. Okay. Patiently Waiting and Don't Push Me. I'm not a huge fan of Patiently Waiting like that, but Don't Push Me is one of M's strongest verses, especially in that period. But I just don't think that in M's defense, he couldn't give Conway a Patiently Waiting or a Don't Push Me if he wanted to right now.
No, I get that.
You know what I mean?
No, that's fair.
But I do think that when we talk about the large platform that somebody like Eminem has, you can obviously say that he could have done more. You know what I mean? Because he has songs that we've never even heard of that have done like 700-something million streams.
So if we can look from afar and can tell that these, affiliations, there is a famous producer that hopped up in our YouTube page to let us know his contributions about a certain album that we just talked about. And he talked about the logos involved. Like, when these logos and these people who are in front of the logos become involved, don't think that the artists don't notice when your energy is not the same. Like, these guys have been like around the industry for a while, so they can tell who's sincerely behind them. Even one of the things Conway brought up was that part of the reason why he made the response that you haven't seen yet is about the DJs that were hitting him up. Like, yo, bro, like, I play your shit. I play your records. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, DJs are hitting him up like, that ain't us. He's talking about Peter Rosenberg and Ebro and all these guys in it and talking about how, like, people have hit him up. And he's like, no, he don't care about the radio play. He's just not trying to kiss nobody's ass because the climate's not set up for that. And listen to this. Did you hear Flex's follow-up, like the radio thing? First of all, He acted like he didn't know his name. He said his name wrong. This is what I mean. Flex is
Yeah, that's
wrong.
that brand new stuff. You can't. And you know what? And his problem with Sus One, Conway's, was part of that too. Where Sus One's got on Wendy Williams' show and act like he didn't know who Conway was.
No, we talked about that. Do you remember when we talked about that?
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah. So this
That's
is real. Cool. So that's what I'm saying. Stop making it seem like he's imagining that these DJs are behaving this way too. No. They're behaving this way and running their mouth. He brought up how Flex was on Wallow and Gilly's show and said he don't fuck with them like that. He doesn't listen to Griselda like that. He listens to Drake. Listen to what he did. Like, first of all, somebody called them wannabe millionaires.
Yeah. I heard
said, I'm not aware. And then he poked fun at him and compared him to Michael Jackson and Drake. Yeah, Griselda's right there with Michael Jackson and Drake. Yeah. It's like, now you're the lead DJ for Hot 97. This is like you know what I'm saying?
And then he also said, yeah, I'm going to play some Griselda now. He's like, nah, I'm going to play Cardi B featuring Kanye West and Lil Durk. Yeah.
Right.
I want to piggyback on what, because you sent me this at like 1:30 a.m. or whatever, and we were talking about The Firm last episode, and I didn't know who Chris the Glove was. I went and did my Googles on him immediately after the show, because somebody in the comments said that, and Chris the Glove got in the comment section. He said, "LOL, problems came from Leor, Steve, and all the logos. Plus, we didn't do the sequencing. The singles were released in the wrong order."
Did you see my response?
I didn't see your response. You sent me the screenshot of just.
Yeah, I sent you the screenshot, and then I went into other people's comments, and I got back to him later. I was like, "Oh, fam," I was like, "We can tell y'all had nothing to do with the sequencing. Yeah, like it's Dr. Dre's the best sequencing. Like you can tell when Dr. Dre has executive produced the album by the sequencing.
Yeah, I mean, listen to Good Kid, Mad City. Listen to the documentary.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Yeah.
Niggas for Life, Straight Outta Compton. No One Can Do It Better.
Yeah.
Doggy Style, The Chronic. Like, yeah, list goes on and on.
Said the singles were bad, or not bad. Singles were released in the wrong order. I can vouch for that. I don't think
that too. Phone Tap should have been first, probably.
I don't think Firm Biz should have even been on the album, in my opinion.
Absolutely not. That's logos.
It's a lot, man. I've never seen that many logos on the back of an album. It's a lot of logos on the back of that album.
Notice he specifically highlighted Leor, Steve, and then logos. As in Leor, that's Def Jam, so that's Foxy, and then Steve, that's Nas. So Foxy and Nas's managers are the problems, and that's coming from Dr. Dre's right-hand man at the time on the production tip and behind the scenes of the album.
So when we talk about Steve, I think that my mind goes to forcing the Trackmaster stuff, and I think that could be a big problem, especially when Dr. Dre is at the helm, him and his people. Yeah.
The Glove just said it himself. Him and Dre was supposed to pretty much run this ship. It was supposed to sound like
the Glove and Dre could have handled this project.
The stuff that they handled is just fine.
Yeah. No, it's real.
They gave us Phone Tap.
Nas the GOAT with the super chat says, Mike, M is dropping a new album. Are you excited? Laughing my ass off. Yeah, listen, it's a greatest hits from what I understand. So it's his second greatest hits. I want to quote my man Star, man. Shout out to the Star Report, man. He said, he wasn't talking about this, but he was talking about his time at working at a record label. And when an artist is washed, they say, yo, it's greatest hits time. Eminem has 2 of these.
That's striking.
It is what it is. There's another super chat. Topping that with the super chat, shout out to the people out there in Australia. Conway don't do himself a favor trashing the M fans that Griselda gets, calling them corny rap fans. Hey, man, sometimes you got to tell the truth and not worry about the repercussions.
Like I said, both sides are making valid and astute points. Both of them could have handled and conducted themselves better. Like Conway's follow-up was way better than his intro. Flex's follow-up was way worse than his intro. They both said some right and some wrong things because the disrespect Flex was espousing now, he was almost big boying them like, yeah, I'm too big and too major and too much on Front Street for you niggas to do anything. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's the type of nigga that you really want to see out in the street and slap the shit out of, Mike. Like that's like when a guy does that, like what Flex just did, what I just heard Flex just do. It's like, nah, that's when I really want to like see you and no cameras are around officially.
Well, somebody in the community section when we posted this, they said that, you know, basically, like you said, Flex played them to the left like he was too big.
Yeah.
But they also said in the comments that, you know, Griselda plays A2HH like they're too big.
So can we? So can we maybe wrap this up with this?
Go ahead.
We talked about this before. Part of the problem with on Conway's side and where he's wrong is that, well, you're looking for love in all the wrong places. These niggas don't love y'all like that. They've shown you niggas that they really don't love you niggas like that. They really use you niggas for the sake of the relationship of keeping their credibility alive. I'm talking about all these DJs. Like a lot of these older cats
that
are DJs that fuck with them. They fuck with Griselda for the sake of keeping their viability and street credibility alive. They don't love what y'all do like that. They don't fuck with y'all like that. You're looking for love in the wrong place. And if you really want to put them niggas out of business, like he says, or have them replaced, you need to be, and I said this before too, well, you need to be coming on the platforms that do show you niggas the love that you deserve, like according to hip hop and whoever else, not just here, that's showing you the love that you deserve. Well, you need to come on those platforms and make those platforms a thing so that the powers that be want to replace those niggas with these niggas.
That's how change
happens. That's how that happens. That's what I'm saying. That's how Flex got in this position. Flex got in this position because he could get Prodigy to okay him taking his verse from Shook One's Part 2 and RZA to okay it over the Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With beat. That's literally how he got here, is by people supporting it like that. And if you're not feeling the love, you need to do what them niggas actually did to get themselves literally fat, figuratively, literally, financially, in the scope of business and hip hop music. They made themselves big, literally, off what you do. The artist made them big.
Yeah.
Go make somebody else big. That is the strength of the artist.
That's what happens. And, you know, and I think I said this in an episode before. Black artists will complain about the fact that MTV wasn't playing black artists at all. They were only playing Michael Jackson and Prince, and they were begrudgingly doing that. It wasn't until BET came along that they were forced to start playing black artists. And that's what happens, man. Like, if you have a problem with how these platforms are operating, elevate the ones that are doing the things that you think they should be doing, that are supporting you, like you said. And then once those are elevated, Hot 97 and whoever else is going to be forced to change, because that's the way.
Right. That's the way that this culture kind of works. And so, you know, might want to stop looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah, because you're not going to change them from that aspect. You're only going to change them when they're suffering on all levels. And they're not cool anymore. When they already are. Yeah. Let's
look at some guys that they looked up to, the Locks. How the Locks get out of that bad boy contract?
They went to the people.
Got them out of the contract.
Yeah,
the people got them out of that.
Yeah.
Like the streets is especially when you do the type of music and the style of music they do. Shame on you if you ever think that anything other than the streets is really gonna hold you down like that. Them DJs is not gonna hold you down like that. They'll play just enough of your shit to keep their credibility alive, their pockets fat, their relationship strong, and to make sure that they don't lose their job. Niggas behave differently when their livelihood is put in some sort of jeopardy, like the threat of somebody younger, more astute, more energetic, more in tune, especially in this sphere. Mike, it happens in Hollywood every day where they tell an actress, well, you're this age now, so you're officially mom. So we only have, so we have 30 hot girl roles, and then we have 10 mom roles. So your workload just got decreased by a third. I'm sorry, that's what happens when you get old in Hollywood. Good night, old bitch.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I don't think Dr. Dre is as beloved out here in Cali by the streets / hip hop fans like the rest of the country. The rest of the country thinks he is. Hurt his reputation. That's interesting.
That's
Jay
fascinating.
Short's out there in Cali, by the way, to the people that are in the room.
See, now I'm out in Cali in the early and mid 2000s. The vibe wasn't different because, you know, when I'm out there, how about this? I'm out there around the documentary. So the Eminem show and all that is not old yet. Neither is the Marshall Mathers LP. That stuff's not old yet when I'm in Cali. So
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that.
I was gonna piggyback off of something that you said when it came to, I guess, the DJs and being replaced, right? I truly don't believe if, let's just say hypothetically, Hot 97 replaces Flex with a 25-year-old, right? That person doesn't have the type of tenure that Flex has, so I think that you have somebody who's even less, that is way less powerful, right? And it is even more of a puppet. And I know I was talking to somebody I used to work with in radio on the executive level. They're having a real tough time in radio, actually, number one, preparing a lot of these younger guys and women for radio because they don't have any training. Most people who are doing this on a younger level, they just jump on YouTube or whatever, right? They just jump on their own platforms. So they're not accustomed to actually having to go within the confines of how radio works. That's number one. And then number two is just the familiarity because the number of people who listen to radio is just less than it used to be, right? So it takes so much to get people familiar with a whole new name, and you don't even know if those people are going to stay around. So that's why we're seeing a lot of the DJs from a long time ago staying in position and staying at fort. Even if you look at New York radio, all of these people have been there forever. It's not just Flex. All of them have been there forever.
It's not just Flex. I'm like
and we can say the same thing for LA, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm about to say Flex is just a New York example given. You can go to every major city where hip hop matters. And okay, so let's look at it like this. Okay, come on.
There's no movement, and it's no movement because young people don't aspire to be on the radio because they didn't grow up listening to the radio. You know what I mean? Because we were just talking about Joey Badass and like how he probably doesn't even give a fuck. He doesn't get spun on Hot 97. It's because he's from a generation that never listened to the radio. So it's like, how are you going to prep somebody for a radio job that doesn't even care about radio?
Okay, what if I were so maybe what I'm saying about, let's say, so maybe replacing the 55-year-old with the 25-year-old is unrealistic. But what do you maybe feel like about replacing the 55-year-old with the credible 40-year-old?
That's
who
possible.
Maybe has some inroads. So,
but in hip hop, you still
no. So listen. So I have something for you. Funk Flex is 53.
Mm-hmm.
Remy Ma is 42. What if I told you Remy Ma would be a better radio host of Hot 97 right now than Funk Flex? She would get more respect. She would be more in tune. She still has the personality. She still has the name and the clout. She has a husband she could get on to bring on and co-host to give a male side and perspective sort of things to keep the show viable, alive, and give it energy and vibrance. You get what I'm saying?
That's possible. And I think that could be the way that radio is kind of moving because you look at Trick Daddy and Trina down there in Miami. You look at Young Jock here in Atlanta.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying, like, I think that they don't have to do the job of introducing this person to a new audience, and you get all kind of breaks when it comes to the learning curve because people already know you as an artist.
Yeah, and you get relationships literally built in where people know you, and so they're more comfortable pulling up. He makes a very astute. Listen to this. Listen, he didn't pull this from anywhere when he's saying living off of the 90s, we don't need to massage these niggas' egos. That's not coming from Conway. That's coming from 90s rappers that had to do that shit.
No, it's real. I mean, anybody from that era where radio ruled, you had to massage those egos of people in radio and try to get close to them and to ultimately realize they don't even choose what gets played.
Like, even with something like this, it's like, well, you know what? Funk Flex and Fat Joe are about the same age. Fat Joe's like 2 or 3 years younger than Flex, I think. Like, Fat Joe's like 50, Flex is like 53. Like, it behooves Griselda more to even go up on Fat Joe's live. You get what I'm saying?
Well, let me
Just
ask
because.
you this though, and I want to follow up what you said about the Remy thing, right? So it would have to be somebody in New York, but how does that look when Remy and Flex have a good relationship and he spun her records and she replaces him? And let's just say, because Flex clearly doesn't want to stop doing what he's doing, Flex starts a podcast
Oh
and
man,
talks all his shit.
this is business. This is not personal.
No, I feel you. But I'm saying it's
And
also
no, so
business
so so
too,
it'd
in
be
the
okay.
fact that
So it'd be
Flex could
okay,
go out
motherfuckers
there.
to switch labels. No, people be switching labels. They be
No,
switching
I feel you.
females. They be switching jewelry. Like they be switching everything around. But we can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't
Well,
necessarily.
I think the thing is, the DJs, and I've heard Ebro say this before, the DJs feel like they have a hand in the artist's success.
But they
And I
don't
know
anymore.
Ebro said something to the effect of Kanye owes them for, for helping him blow up. I'm like, okay.
No, you niggas owe Kanye.
What
You niggas owe
Kanye say when
Kanye.
he
Oh,
went?
you niggas owe Kanye.
Kanye went to a radio station one time. Was like, "You're gonna
Bad.
play my music because it's your job."
It's bad when you got me taken up for Kanye. Niggas owe Kanye. What's wrong with these niggas?
Okay, before we get to the next part of the show, I do want to read what Flex and Pete Rock's back and forth.
Oh,
Did you
God.
see this?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
but
Flex said a whole lot. So he started off.
You're saying too much. That's what I'm saying. Say less, dude. Say less.
He started off with a photo of Pete Rock calling him a clown, right? He said, "Clown alert," right? And so he says, "Hi, coming from a guy who shitted on drill. They from New York, my friend. They fired you over at WBLS and Hot 97 in that order because you lost touch with the music, streets, and the club. Please remember I'm a fan of your music. Love every song you ever made. Loves listening to you on the radio and love your bars, Pete Rock. You sit your basement high ass out of touch, mad at the new generation, pal. Your career was over the day you stopped realizing hip hop can't be dictated. YouTube, Apple, and Spotify dictate the culture. Never needed a petty $2,500 artist throw around to get records played. Radio/clubs keep my accountant busy. You wish I took money. Makes you feel better about your whack songs you made in the last 5 years that I didn't play. Be clear, everything else you ever produced is amazing. I'm funny style to you, or you mad that we the same age and your career went a little, let's say, different than mine? You're right. I laugh like it's a joke. A lot of people like you haven't come to terms. A lot of people like you, haven't come to terms that there's a new style of artist controlling the craft. Mad at the generation at home. He went there and duplicated it. Controlling the craft. Radio doesn't break artists anymore. Radio makes YouTube, Spotify, and Apple artists superstars. They break them first. Get off the drugs and liquor and ask questions. Grown men grind. Losers look at the next man's plate. 7 p.m. Thursday, I will expand upon this topic
Radio
nicely.
doesn't break artists anymore. Radio.
And I want to go to what Pete Rock said. I heard an echo real quick. Pete Rock said, "You don't play real artists no more. You talk shit like you're better than everybody. And I believe all threats with real talent in music were removed by a plan out of the way for the new shit to happen. You New York niggas treat this other NY artists who put in work like our careers are over. You stop playing Wu-Tang. You play no Griselda. Nothing. Stop playing a lot of artists. Then you judge motherfuckers and make fun of the fact that you control what you want when you're on air. So much good music out here to be ignored as a black dude treating other black talented people like they're beneath you. You don't make beats or rap, but you shit on artists because you could, and you stop supporting real hip-hop music to cater to whoever you got in their pockets. That's sucker DJ behavior. When I was a DJ on Hot 97 and WBLS, I never fronted on artists in hip-hop not playing their music. I played everybody's shit, even West Coast shit. You was fronting on. That's why niggas is so upset because you shitting on for no reason. Black people not supporting. I'm sorry, not supposed to treat each other like that. But these days, money will make niggas do anything. Always been a funny style dude from day one, only to front on niggas later and run your mouth and playing your whack ass shit. Funk Flex, you you do this in your own city to your own people and be nonchalant about shit, laughing like it's a joke, shaking my head. So that was the.
So that's.
They had a lot to say to each other.
I mean,
what do you have to say about that?
I think Pete Rock said what I was saying.
I want to make sure we don't miss any super chats before we go on to this T-Pain.
It's a damn shame I'm agreeing with Pete Rock. I'm taking up for Kanye and Conway. It's bad.
Jay Short with the super chat
Conway should have framed it so much better, though.
No, I agree. When do you not step down from the throne? You will eventually be removed. Basic history. This is one of those Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers things. And you know what? I'll make it more entertainment based. Jay Leno. When Jay Leno didn't want to step down. Remember that? You can't make somebody step down.
That was some sucker shit too.
Well, the institution can make you ultimately stand down. But I think the problem is finding a suitable replacement that's actually excited about replacing this person. I think what you said is a very viable option, replacing it with an artist. But again, this would have to be somebody who's New York, and it would have to be somebody who wants to take that position, because let's keep it real, having to do a job like that when you're out there doing shows or whatever else you got going on, that can kind of cut into your money too. So it have to be the perfect fit.
Yeah, I could see Cardi and Offset doing that down here.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do radio. They're more TV.
I mean, I'm just saying they could if that's what she wanted. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than that for them, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Remy's done television too, so she might not want to do the radio thing either.
She's just classically trained, and she's also like, you know, when women have families, sometimes, you know, they get to a certain age in a certain place where they prefer to be closer to home to watch their kids do certain things, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a consistency thing.
So never discount that. Never discount that. You know what I'm saying? A woman will, you know, be on the run and on the go, but about her kids, you know, be like, oh, my baby's 11. I've been missing this shit. I want to see the rest of it. Boom, radio job.
We got like 450 people in the room. Thumbs up in the chat. Thumbs up in the chat. You ready to start talking about this T-Pain and Tupac thing?
I mean, you have any like final thoughts about this? Like, you want to know what it really is too? This is unnecessary. Like, artists that are making the type of East Coast hip hop that Griselda are making shouldn't have issues with New York DJs. End of story.
This is what I will say. I guess this would be my ending thoughts on this topic. I'm not from New York. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, right? Got people in New York, spent a lot of time in New York. Big fan of New York hip hop. But from what I hear from people in New York, this has been the whole thing with New York hip hop from the jump. Not supporting each other. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of terrible records that come on our radio stations, or at least came on our radio stations when radio mattered like that. But I can always say Atlanta's always supported its own artists, even when the records were terrible. And I think that lack of support that New York radio has given to New York hip hop, especially in that early 2000s era, it's been tough to come back from. And these are residual effects from it, because New York was so dominant in hip hop in the 90s. Man, when New York radio switched up on them, they never been able to get it back.
No, it hasn't been the same since. I mean, New York radio has a lot to do with a lot of New York hip hop's demise in terms of how they handled the situation.
Because you got to think about it. I mean, when artists were out there cooking and, you know, creating what they were creating, the radio station there, that was the ending point. Like, they had something to, you know, strive for. And when those radio stations change up the sound and you're hearing people who are no longer from your city anymore, for the first time ever probably, you're like, okay, well, the directions change. I need to sound like them to get on this radio station.
But that is part of that That's part of the radio format getting institutionalized more as the money got bigger that I'm talking about that's problematic. That's not unique unto New York, like you say. No, that's going on in Miami. It's going on in Orlando, Atlanta,
It's just
Charlotte,
unique to New York because it's never
LA.
happened to them before. You know what I mean? And it's the
Also,
birthplace.
too, well, sometimes it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Ain't nobody saying this shit out in Big Boy out in LA because he's doing what the fuck he's supposed to do.
Yeah. You know what? I be in LA and they always playing Dre shit. They're always playing the game.
Well, that's
the last time I was out there.
Well, hold on. You're never going to find a time when you're not doing that. That's what I mean about how they be doing what they're supposed to do. It's like, no, you're in California. You ready for this Eazy-E and this Ice Cube and this Dr. Dre and this Snoop and this Tupac and this 40 and this Short and this Game and this Kendrick?
I mean, and I don't even want to just say Cali.
Well,
we look
Schoolboy and Kendrick.
Southern Cal does it. The Bay does it. Texas does it. Chicago does it. Atlanta does it. Miami does it. I don't know what went wrong when it comes to, you know, the radio stations up in New York and supporting their artists, but, you know, it's hard to overcome.
In fairness to all those places, Southern Cali is some other shit, man. And I'm going to keep on saying that it's different.
I feel like the Bay is too, man, because the Bay makes millionaires on an independent level.
No. The Bay is kind of like Southern Cali, but what I'm saying is that Southern Cali has days where the Bay music don't even creep in. The Bay shit, like Southern Cali be creeping in unless something's changed. But it's like, no, I've had days, Mike, where they literally played Easy or Easy-related records all day on a radio station. Like, this shit happened.
Memphis does that, too. Memphis is like, I mean, well, I don't know what Memphis is like now. I
didn't even know Easy was related on that many tracks. I didn't know they could do that.
I don't know what Memphis radio is like now, but I know when Memphis was, you know, really in the prime of its, like in the 90s, early 2000s, all they would play is Memphis records. Anybody from the outside, you're not getting no play, especially in the clubs.
Like when I moved to Cali, Mike, they were playing West Side Story on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
Like the game shit. Like there's no video to that. That was never a single. It would just be on the radio like all the time. I'd be like, oh, that's different.
Like, Mr. Mark 66 says, let's keep it a buck. Although an Eminem cosign didn't hurt, the streets broke 50 in the industry. M has never helped progress any artist. Shaking my head. Now, you know what? Y'all know me. I'm not a big Eminem fan. And 50 Cent was moving, and I don't want to discredit anything that 50 was doing when it comes to, you know, the core base that he was developing. But selling that 10 million and all that, man, that's off of that Eminem cosign, man. And you got to understand where Eminem was at during that period. Like, Eminem was like the biggest rapper in the world. He was a pop star, crossover pop star in 2002. And now you got 50, and 50's coming with this heat. So a lot of people who wouldn't have even acknowledged 50 in that way were now taking a listen to this Get Rich or Die Trying. And once you finally heard the album, it was undeniable. But
it's not
to get the motor running, Eminem had a lot to do with that.
I mean, first of all, the Interscope machine is winning big around this time.
Yeah.
Dre and M are coming off of 2001 in Marshall Mathers and then Eminem show, correct?
Yep.
This is them at their zenith.
Yeah.
Especially records-wise, selling-wise. So
all
it's like, yeah, 50
piggybacked
off. I told you, like, the video to End the Club, it's not one of the best rap videos ever, but it's one of the most insightful videos ever because of how it starts. It's like, no, they put him into a machine that was working, and you saw what came out of putting him into the machine that it worked. And it's like, no, we're going to get you in shape and have you looking like this for the ladies. It's like they gave him the whole kit.
You got the biggest New York rapper on the streets, right? On the street level. Boom. That's New York. You got Eminem from the Midwest. Got that. And then you got Dre from the West Coast. All these things coming together. And not to mention, 50 was kind of doing some little Southern slang on the album and stuff. So boom, you get a little bit of that too.
Right.
This was Voltron, man.
He's talking Southern, actually. And Interscope is pushing it. And Interscope and Jimmy Iovine is pushing it.
Yeah.
Like, when has a rapper ever been set up for success like that?
That album was Captain Planet, man. Ethan Hill with the super chat says the Outlaws were on a diamond album with Tupac and never went platinum on their own. Nor did Nate Dogg, despite his work with Snoop and Dre.
What diamond album were they on?
They say you can't pull all this on M and Griselda.
What Diamond album are they talking about? All Eyes on Me only sold 5 million, and that was worldwide. That's halfway to Diamond.
Might be the
Is it
greatest
Diamond
hits.
now? I don't be counting that shit to be happening like 15 years later. Like I count what happens within
In the
like 2 or
moment.
3 years of you doing this shit, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what'd you sell that year? What'd you sell the year after? And then we'll go one more year after that. That's what your record
Well,
sales
yeah,
are.
because the Outlaws,
Really?
you can only count when the Outlaws dropped an album, right? Like what those albums did when they dropped the album.
Right. It's
Um,
like I remember people saying it's like no. Thriller had moved 36 million units like within 18 months. No. Purple Rain moved 19 million units within 18 months. Not like
yeah.
this 20, 30-year accumulation where the numbers start changing, it gets re-released, digitized, the streams and the singles are different. It's like no. What the fuck you do the first 2-3 years the album is out?
Ethan Hill with the super chat says, M let Conway put out 100 mixtapes for him to eat. I think I saw a super chat from 007. Yeah, 007 said, he said, Peace Kings. Speaking of 50, for clarification, did the Supreme beef off the ghetto Quran come before the beef with Ja Rule or after? I feel like it was after. Also, did y'all check out the Supreme Team documentary? I still need to get to that.
I've seen it.
How'd you like it?
It was excellent, actually. If you're a hip hop fan, just early on, Nas is interviewing LL Cool J, and it's like if you're a hip hop fan, you're just like Nas is interviewing LL Cool J, like that's so fucking big.
That's awesome.
Like Nas is literally like in fan mode. You don't really see him like that, where it's like he's like, you know, you have to understand these guys are still regular people too. So like him getting to talk to LL about some Queen shit, no, that's big to Nas.
We're all hip hop fans.
We're all hip hop fans, even Nas. That's what I'm saying. So, like, yeah, there's some beautiful moments. You want to know what? It's kind of funny because we're talking about Conway and Griselda and the rhetoric. The Supreme Team documentary and LL's explanation of it as somebody that's from Farmers. You know what I mean? Like, is explaining his bike ride to go. Like, Mike, he's there for like Prince's birthday party that they have on camera. Like they have footage of LL in the crowd. Like people have to understand that the Dope Boys were the stars and the rappers were the guys that they wanted to be like the Dope Boys. It's like if the rappers got successful, they could be like Supreme in them. And nobody really explained it intelligently and articulately with the depth that LL did, and that's why people need to listen to it. No, you need to hear LL speak from a perspective about how those guys have a place, and it's still an important place in hip-hop culture without it being as compromising and problematic as people say. This is L talking about it coming from Queens as a 15-year-old when it's going down. You know what I mean?
Hip-hop's first solo superstar.
That's hip-hop's first solo superstar, and he's telling you why he looks up to these guys and how important they are. So, you know, as much as people don't like it, that's part of this culture. And L is kind of speaking to how, well, no, there's a place for that in this culture because it's real.
Ethan Hill with the super chat says it's diamond because 5 million was counted twice. He's talking about All Eyes on Me. Jay Short with the super chat says NY lost its producers or past their prime. Producers give a region a sound. Pete Rock, Manny, Dre, Lil Jon, Kanye, etc. If your producers ain't hitting, I don't care how good you are as a rapper. Again, I think those samples not being cleared was a problem in New York.
So hold on.
Combination of things. Shout out to everybody in the room. We got like 400 people in here. Thumbs up in the chat and, subscribe to the page as well. Yeah.
Look, buy the yearbook on Amazon too. We have a 2020 and 2021 Hip-Hop Yearbook available on Amazon where we do top 20 verses, albums, underground shit, pictures, photos, bylines, you name it. The artists still control their career to a degree. You know, you kind of have to take control of your shit at the end of the day. Southern artists and producers have done a great job about taking control of their shit. And here's what I mean about Southern artists have done a great job of taking control of their shit. All they really did was observe that all their favorite producers who they looked up to were having issues getting samples clear, and they're like, well, I'm just going to make the beat from scratch then.
Mm-hmm.
They were listening to Q-Tip and Large Professor and Pete Rock and DJ Premier and RZA. Those are all sample-heavy producers, aren't they? I mean, let's also keep it real. Dr. Dre is a sample-heavy producer early on, too.
Yeah, but you know what a lot of Southern acts start doing? Start making their own beats. I mean, regardless of what y'all think
that's
about...
what I mean. Started like...
regardless of what you think about Soulja Boy, he went out there and made his own beat and made a hit. Went to the internet.
But that's what I mean about how Master P changed all that, because it's like you would turn around and be like, man, how'd they get that album done? It's like, well, ain't no samples on there. So you don't have to clear anything. You don't have to wait. Well, he kind of like owns his own company. He kind of has his own artists. He kind of has his own production team. As a matter of fact, only thing he needs to do is send this over to Priority for distribution when the album is done. It's like, well,
he's got to market it and stuff. But yeah, by the time that you actually have a fan base like that, you just put it out to your base, and people are going to eat it up.
I mean, for him, like specifically as it related to his project, all he had to do was go in and make his projects, because by the time he got the deal, he had already had his buzz because of Ice Cream Man. That's what I'm saying. Like for him and then TRU projects, it's like, no, Mike, he can literally just go in there, make those projects and crank them shits out and put his name on it. Like maybe with Mia X and all of them, even with Mystical's Unpredictable, he didn't have to do shit for Mystical's Unpredictable. Mystical had already did Y'all Ain't Ready, and it already like had a single out for Unpredictable. They have to do shit for Unpredictable, but record and drop.
I think Mystical, and we'll talk about this and then we'll move on because I know we got a lot to get to. I think Mystical was like probably the first real free agent signing in hip hop that I could think of. Somebody who already had like a career on their own and then jumped on another team. You know what? I would say Pac first, right? Obviously, Pac to Death Row. Right? Because, I mean, that's hard to say because he was already within a scope, but...
It's funny because you want to know what? It's like the black rap label existed in a greater sphere than in reality. It's like, well, Death Row exists, but Death Row is just a subsidiary Interscope. It's like, well, Rockefeller exists, subsidiary of Def Jam. So it's like... A lot of these artists.
Well, those really are distribution channels, I would say, because Rockefeller put out music before they got with Def Jam, right? We can't really say the same thing about Death Row.
They put out an album and a single. They put out In My Lifetime Volume 1. They put out Reasonable Doubt. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they had their priority situation. I think they did a payday situation too, I believe.
I mean, I think Def Jam gave them $5 million, correct?
I don't remember.
I feel like it was $5 million, which was good. Which was good. I'm thinking about this, getting $5 million at the end of '96. I don't think you understand. They dropped Reasonable Doubt. When is that? June.
Mm-hmm. June 24th.
Got a $5 million deal with Def Jam like in December.
Yeah.
You know, that's not bad work in 6 months. You know what I'm saying? To release an album independently. And I'm not even sure if it was gold when they got that distribution deal, or it might have been approaching. I feel like Ain't No Nigga was gold, the single. Yeah, your single was not. Yeah, Al You Mac and Triple Platinum artists buck by buck, but only a single going gold. Yeah, Ain't No Nigga.
Now, you know, we got to give Jay props too, man, for being able to change with the sounds. Because we talk about the sample clearances in New York. Well, obviously, he was getting his samples cleared. But even when he didn't, he would get on those Swiss Beats tracks. He would get on, you know, the Rockwilder tracks and make hits out of them.
Well, they bought money to the game too, because he was really the first independent guy that like was getting samples cleared without label help or label money.
Right.
Think about it. They were getting samples cleared with their money.
Yep. No, that's real.
That wasn't no Def Jam or no Priority money. That's their money getting samples cleared. So when they're taking the Ain't No Nigga shit from, what's the Ain't No Nigga from? It's from
Well, originally, I'm trying to think of the original sample, but the first ones in hip hop to do it was EPMD. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's originally from...
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is that they're paying...
It's like a bongo band or something.
Right, but what I'm saying is they're paying the tariff on that. Yeah. Not the label. There is no label.
Right. They are the label.
That was different.
Yeah.
That was different.
Let's talk about T-Pain disrespecting Tupac Shakur.
Been avoiding it. Go ahead.
No, man. We got to get into this because I think these situations need to be checked. It seems like we always have to talk about somebody saying, yo, this person is more talented than Michael Jackson. Or in this case, T-Pain says that Tupac in this era would get lyrically ate up. It was a lot going on in this interview, or I guess it was a twitch between DJ Academic, T-Pain, and somebody else was on there. But they got to talking about Hit 'Em Up, and they were talking about what that will look like in the social media era. And T-Pain took it to a level where he was saying that it would have been more violence, and Pac would have got quote unquote hit up earlier. He said lyrically he would have gotten destroyed. And he made the comment that Pac was only a top lyricist in his era because there weren't that many lyricists in his era. Did you hear him say that?
I did not hear that.
It's a lot of, as they would say, misinformation out there. First of all, I want to point out.
I've ever heard.
First of all, I want to point out
the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
I want to point out the fact that T-Pain's 37 years old. He'll be 38 years old this year. So when Tupac passed, he was like 11, right? So he probably doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about in the first place, right?
Okay. Listen to what you're saying. When Tupac died, he was 11.
Yeah.
When Tupac came out, this
like
guy
5.
wasn't even in school yet.
Right.
He was in pre-K or kindergarten when Tupac came out.
But this is what we're going to stop doing, and we'll explore this a little bit more. But speaking on the dead and our legends in ill fashion, that shit's got to stop, man. Like, I don't know when this became a thing where people are going to sit here and bring people out the grave and talk crazy, because if Pac was alive, you wouldn't be saying the stuff you're saying. Because, you know, at the end of the day, somebody like Ice Cube and Chuck D, they're alive and well. You would not go out there and disrespect them like this. And that's just the truth.
No, I don't like it. There's something that's turning into clout chasing about the dead in this community, specifically in reference to our all-time great legends. It's almost like we have to start auditing people speaking about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Tupac, in a certain type of way. And I want to say this very carefully. They don't do that shit with Bob Marley because Bob Marley's not from the United States. You see how carefully woven this narrative is getting played? And because here's the reality of the matter. If Tupac was alive and T-Pain were to say this, everybody would be thinking, oh shit, T-Pain is in trouble because Pac is going to slap the shit out of this nigga. He would not say this. When he sees him. He would not have the nerve or the gall to say this. And it's not really founded well, which is part of what I think we need to unpack too. It's not well founded, is it?
It was a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. You know what I mean? And you know what? I think that, and you and I were talking about this offline. This whole narrative that has gotten out of control, where people talk about Tupac's not a lyricist, I think that it's about as it is about as bogus as people saying that Nas is the worst beat picker in hip hop. Like, let's really sit here and examine this. So you're telling me, first of all, you're talking about he would get outbarred or whatever you want to say. Have y'all heard Chino XL rap? Chino XL got bars on bars on bars. Pac said what he had to say about him. Now you're telling me that there's an artist in this generation that is more lyrical on a mainstream level that Pac would be scared to go at, or would outbar Pac, that would outbar Chino XL and guys like that. Pac didn't care who it was. He went at everyone from Nas, the Chino, to Prodigy. These ain't no lightweight guys. Jigga Man, Biggie, it's not lightweight. So you're going to have to show me 5 people in this era or in the past, like, 20 years that matches up with those 5 guys.
Pac is like an old school kind of like block guy too. It's like Pac never disrespected anybody that came before him, but if you were after him, you was fair game.
Yeah.
So there's no Chuck D, Ice Cube, Rakim, KRS. There's none of that disrespect going on. But if you came after and you said something or he felt something, who is this motherfucker? Who this little nigga? What?
Jay Short says, Sam Cooke died before I was born. I still recognize game. Exactly. I mean, nobody coming up, and I think that this is only done in hip-hop. Because nobody coming up and be like, yo, man, I don't listen to that Marvin Gaye shit, man. He ain't got nothing on R. Kelly. Like, what are we talking about? You'll never see somebody dissing Elvis, and that's real. You'll never see anybody of the culture, of Elvis's culture, dissing him in reference to bigging up somebody in the current generation. They're not gonna be like, yo, man, I listen to Maroon 5, man. I ain't fucking with that Elvis shit.
Like, how about this? Like, I think Prince is the greatest artist who ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
When I say Prince is the greatest artist who ever lived, I didn't say Stevie Wonder sucked. I didn't say Michael Jackson ain't shit. I don't say I don't play Bob Marley like that. I ain't say Marvin Gaye ain't have no soul. I just said Prince is the greatest artist ever.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's like, no. I think he's the greatest artist ever. I didn't say it wasn't a conversation. I didn't say there weren't viable characters that you could make a discussion for. I said, for me, that's my guy. Sometimes it's how you do it. People be out here just doing it wrong, it seems like. And it's like, I'm starting to wonder, it's like, well, when did all of this happen when it became okay for a DJ like Funk Flex, who got broken in by lyricists, to disrespect lyricists? A guy like T-Pain, who literally is like 4 or 5 years old and probably learning not to piss on himself when Brenda Is a Baby is coming out. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, Brenda's got a baby.
And then it goes, and then I want to start addressing the fact that it's like, we spend a lot of time in here talking about, this, from the journalistic integrity side, the narrative on Nas. Well, it appears the same narrative has kind of been guided in Tupac's way about the whole lyricist thing. Because I'm going to tell you what, Mike, I can remember all of those Source and Vibe articles about Tupac too. There was no talk about him being a subpar lyricist.
Never.
When Me Against the World came out. Like you want to know what he was called on his first 2 albums? Inconsistent but brilliant. Which is what the first 2 albums are. Like, the first album's not that good. You can see flashes. The second album, Strictly for My Niggas, oh, he flashes hard. Like, as in, he can rap next to Ice Cube and Ice-T. He can do Keep Your Head Up and I Get Around, too. Like, he flashes super, super hard. But by Me Against the World, no, he's pretty fucking great. And there are no articles. There are literally no reviews talking about his lyrics.
And even in this
Mike, I got one for you.
Go ahead.
But I got one for you. And here's what I mean about, you got to get back to the root of stuff. Here we go again. Do you remember Blaze?
Yeah.
They did an all-time 100 MC list. Do you remember the MC list?
I don't remember that.
I do. I remember it was 1999, early 99, maybe still 98. They had Rakim at number 1. If I'm not mistaken, KRS-One is number 2. Biggie was number 3. Kane was number 4. LL's 5. I want to say Slick Rick is 6. They have Tupac at number 7. You know what they said about Tupac and Blaze?
What's that?
Although not the lyricist of his peers and his contemporaries, his emotional, like, they spoke to how emotionally he made you feel more. And that's the only time I heard in that time where
lyricism? Because you know what? All right. And I don't want to interrupt you, but what they said, even on this this Academic and T-Pain exchange, they were like, I kind of look, well, I think Academic said this. He said, I look at Pac as a poet. And T-Pain was like, yeah, he's definitely a poet, one of the top poets of his day. And I'm like, well, how can you be a poet and not a lyricist? I'm confused. And, and I don't even like when they try to say that about Pac being a quote-unquote poet. Yeah, he was a poet when he was writing poetry. How do you want it? It's not a fucking poet.
This is what I mean.
You know what I'm saying?
This is what I mean about the New York media. You have to understand, when this Blaze compilation is coming out, first of all, hold on. They might have put, I'll have to remember it again. I remember Pac was 7, Jay was 9, Nas was 15. Somewhere filling out that top 10, I believe, was Ice Cube and Cool G Rap. But Tupac was the only guy who they mentioned that didn't belong lyrically with those guys. Like, they talked about Rakim. Think about it. 1 was Rakim. 2 was KRS. 3 was Big. 4 was Kane. 5 was LL. Think 6 might have been Pac. 7 might have been Slick Rick. I think 8 is Ice Cube. 9 is Jay. And I think like they had Chuck D at 12 and Nas at 15, which is fucked up, by the way, because this is 1999.
Right.
But Pac was the only guy that they framed like that. And Blaze is a publication that was put out by who?
Who put out Blaze?
Vibe.
Vibe? Oh, okay.
It's either Vibe or Double XL. One of the people that are misappropriating the culture.
Yeah. Let me get to some of these super chats real quick.
They just brought up him not being a lyricist, Mike, and that's where it started too.
We need
and
to
that's that
explore
New York shit again.
It is. Born King says that dumb ish started with Whack 100. Shaking my head. I think he's talking about speaking ill of people who are no longer here. Let me see. I know we got some more super chats. We missed out a whole bunch in that exchange. Okay. The L Web says T-Pain is just mad that his time came and went. Ain't nobody playing those songs, simp ringtone songs anymore. We got Darren Harris with the super chat. He says Pac held his own with Big, Kane, Boot Camp, Method Man, and Redman, and gang of West Coast legends. He is a super slept on as a lyricist. Yeah, I mean, Corrupt, all that.
No, I was right. Here we go.
Okay, go ahead.
One Rock M, 2 KRS. This is how my memory is, Mike. Steel Trap, 1 Rock M, 2 KRS, 3 Notorious B.I.G., 4 Big Daddy Kane, 5 LL Cool J, 6 Cool G Rap, 7 Tupac, 8 Slick Rick, 9 Jay-Z, 10 Ice Cube, 11 Grandmaster Caz, 12 Chuck D, 13 Run, 14 Melly Mel, 15 Nas. Now, first of all,
I'm gonna say this, man.
Huh?
Go ahead.
This is 1998 going into 99. First of all,
why
are Melly Mel, Run, Grandmaster Caz, and Slick Rick, quite frankly, and Cool G Rap ahead of Nas? All right? They got Tupac at 7, but I'm telling you, I remember this. When they did this list, Tupac is the only guy mentioned in the top 15 where they brought up his lack of lyrical ability.
How is Big 3 and Pac 7? You know, and I'm just going to say this, and I love both of them, and I think that, you know, at the time, I love Big's records more, right? You know, but as time went on and I grew up and understood everything that Pac was talking about and where he came from with it, and you look at his illustrious career, you look at the output, the amount of material he had, the work ethic he had, how at that point can you actually put Big at 3 and Pac at 7? It's a little East Coast bias, man. I mean, it is what it is. And I think most of our publications in that era were coming from the same place geographically. And you could see the bias. It was...
Think about this. This is February of 1999. I want people to think about this. And don't tell me that this isn't biased. Jay is number 9 on this list. Look at the other guys on this list. He's 3 albums in. He's got Reasonable Doubt Volume 1 and Volume 2 in February of 99. In February of 99, this guy's made 3 albums, and he is literally being put between Slick Rick and Ice Cube. But Nas is at 15.
So Ice Cube is behind Jay in 99?
Number 10 on the list is Ice Cube.
We're talking about Killer Will, not Dead Presidents, Death Certificate. We're talking about Lethal Injection. We're talking about America's Most. We're talking about NWA.
Already come out. Mike, War and Peace is coming out. This is February of 99. Matter of fact, Mike, you want to know what this is? This is February 1999. You want to know what's floating around? You know it's got the streets on locks in February 1999?
Hello?
I Am Bootleg.
Oh, you talking about that. I'm talking about Cube. I'm stuck on the Cube thing. Again, for me, the Cube and Pac thing really shows that East Coast bias. And listen, I grew up as a East Coast hip-hop fan like crazy. But at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge that even in the source, they weren't giving anything 5 mics that wasn't coming from New York. And the only reason why America's Most got 5 is because he made it in New York with the Bomb Squad.
Correct. So
you know what I'm saying? Like, Death Certificate didn't get that.
So think about this. In 1999, they think Ice Cube is a slot behind Jay-Z after America's Most,
Are you serious?
Kill at Will, Death Certificate, Straight Outta Compton. Classic sitting on his catalog, and they got Jay a slot ahead of him. Think about this.
That's not justifiable. There's no way you could justify that.
Think about this. Nas has made Illmatic. It was written in I Am in 1999. He's at 15. They still have him behind Melly Mel. You think they're not being funny? They got Nas behind Melly Mel and Run in 99. Grandmaster Caz is number 11 ahead of Chuck D. The only West Coast artists that even crack the top 15 are Ice Cube and Pac, 7 and 10. They got Too Short at 16, and then you don't see another West Coast rapper until, because the DOC is from Texas, you don't see a West Coast rapper on this list until Snoop at 37.
Well, what about the South? And Snoop is 37 in 1999?
In 1999, Snoop is 37. The South, you better stop that.
Yeah, he ain't probably getting nobody.
Scarface is 22. I'll wait for it. CeeLo is 39.
Wow. CeeLo got high praise. I don't feel bad about my CeeLo pick now, right?
You shouldn't. He was always lyrically the most inclined in the group. He just doesn't execute like Andre.
Blue Collar Hustler with the super chat says, Coop is a beautiful mind of rap. Amazing recall.
Yeah. No, I remember this because when I was like, how you got Kool G Rap at 6 and Nas at 15? You might have that backwards.
Well, this is the thing, and somebody in the chat says that Tupac's not a West Coast artist, but he clearly was.
Oh, Dre is 33. Like... Dre from Outkast is 33. So they got CeeLo at 39, but they got Dre at 33. So those are the only two Southern intros.
Very East Coast heavy, yes.
Super. Dre and CeeLo are they literally took the two best lyricists that ever came out of this region, and they're like, yeah, put them somewhere in the 30s.
Bun B on there? No.
Like I said, they took the two best lyricists that ever came out of this region and threw them in the 30s.
Yeah. What I was gonna say though, somebody said something about Tupac being an East Coast rapper. He clearly wasn't. We see that the West Coast bias is what it is. I mean, not the West Coast bias, the East Coast bias is what it is.
We got a 50 greatest MCs list, and it got 3 Southern artists and 4 West Coast artists.
Well, this is what I'm gonna say. And I think this whole narrative that Pac's not a lyricist, and this and that, it comes from East Coast publications.
Comes from the hate.
It does. Because really, man, let's keep it real, man. You got to be a lyricist to make a record like Dear Mama, to make it connect in the way that it does.
I was thinking So Many Tears.
You got to be a lyricist to make So Many Tears. Brenda's Got a Baby. Trap.
These are bars.
White Man's World. Son. White Man's World. So what are we talking about? So how can you be a poet and not a lyricist? Have you ever heard anybody say that a great poet is not a lyricist? That don't even make sense.
Poets are usually more lyrically inclined.
Exactly.
Like period. A poet is usually more lyrically inclined to what like it actually means to write a lyric.
Listen, I don't understand that narrative has to stop, man. And again, so this
is what I'm saying. So this New York bias, and I hate to say it, and this goes back to some of your conspiracy theory. Why does it seem like Tupac and Nas, guys who, drop knowledge and appear to be anti-establishment, why do they appear to be the ones that are suffering these types of critiques from New York hip-hop media?
You're right.
Like, Tupac has no business being number 7 in 1999. Like, think about this. This is no disrespect to Kool G Rap. Anybody that's really been watching the show knows how I feel about Kool G Rap. I actually pull up on this podcast frequently and remind people Illmatic is the greatest rap album of all time because Nas is not only adopting Rakim style, but who else is? Kool G Raps. That's how important Kool G Rap is. New York State of Mind is not a Rakim record. That's a Kool G Rap record. That's the type of record Kool G Rap would make. Okay? Right. So he's that guy. He's not a slide ahead of Pac in no 1999. He don't have no Me Against the World or no goddamn All Eyes on Me. That's just like respectfully speaking. Like respectfully speaking, he doesn't. Mike, LL Cool J, respectfully speaking, is not a better lyricist than Tupac or a better song maker. And if anybody is the hit maker that LL Cool J is, guess who it is?
Right.
It's Tupac, so he's bare minimum. And if you, Big Daddy Kane does not have a Me Against the World or an All Eyes on Me or a Machiavelli. And so bare minimum in 1999, Pac is number 4 after Rakim, KRS-One. And really, if you want to tell the truth about it, because Big had only been gone for 2 years, Pac should probably be number 3 on this list in 1999 after Rakim and KRS-One.
Well, see, this is my thing.
In 1999 after Rakim and KRS than Pop. So
well, this
just
is my thing. Because
that careful slight too. It's like we're not gonna put him where he belong at 3. We're gonna stick him at 7 and play the game.
Of course. And the thing is, I could see showing respect to the legends in '99, right? But they didn't do that when it came to Biggie. They slid Biggie right there at 3 with 2 albums.
And they slid Jay at 9 with 3.
Yeah, and it's like, based on the output at that point. Now, I get it if y'all wanted to put, you know what I'm saying, Rakim, Kane, you know what I'm saying, Cool G Rap, because this is 1999, KRS, LL, because of the work, the amount of work, the impact, and all that. But to put Biggie at 3, it's like, nah, you can't justify that. You're gonna have to tell me how you got 3 and 7 based on the work that was put in by this one guy and the lack thereof of the other at the time.
Let's talk about number 1 and number 2 on their list. Well, Rakim put out an album in 1997. KRS put out an album in 1998. These niggas is still outside.
I'm cool with Rakim and KRS being 1 and 2 in 1999. I think that's totally justified.
Listen. In 1999, all jokes aside, they are 1 and 2 in 1999 still.
Straight up.
It's 1999.
And I wouldn't even be mad if, based on the output that KRS put out in the 80s and 90s, that he would be number 1. I wouldn't be mad at that. And I'm a Rakim guy.
Mike, can I tell you something about how the KRS-One thing reads? It says in many ways KRS-One is still number 1.
Okay.
That's what it says by his number 2 slot. So the number 1 and number 2 slot is debatable. But it's clearly those 2 guys. But then they lose their credibility because they put Big above Kane, LL, G-Rap, Pop, Nas, Q. You get what I'm saying? It's like, well, hold on. How did that happen? See, this is what I mean about part of how Biggie became the greatest rapper of all time, too. The media kind of put him there.
They did. And I love Biggie. You and I sing Biggie's.
You go, hold on. Lyrically speaking, if you're ahead in 1999, Rakim, KRS-One, it's like Biggie, hold on. You went Rakim, KRS, Biggie?
Right.
1999, it's like, well, no, Rakim, KRS-One, Kane, Nas. You know what I'm saying?
And, you know, you and I sing Biggie's praises all the time. And you know what? And I'll be 100% with this. If Biggie lived based on the trajectory and where he was going and how he continuously improved, there's no doubt in my mind that he probably would have been the greatest MC ever, right?
No, he's going to be number 1.
Huh?
He was going to be number 1. You see, I hung the picture up.
And I only say that because I do feel like Pac would have went on and did more acting. I think he would have went the Ice Cube route. That's just my personal opinion. But with that being said, based on what we have there's no justification for that number 3 spot in 1999. That's clear bias.
You want to know why he's a lyricist? Because of all the MCs who are really top 5 dead or alive, it's really Pac. His songs are going to live the longest. He's the one that's top 5
and what makes songs, Coop? Lyrics. Because somebody was in the chat talking about that songwriting. Well, what the fuck do you got to write down? Lyrics, right?
You have to
like, who else do we do this with?
See what I'm talking about? The process of writing a song is putting lyrics down on paper. When you make a rhyme, you take lyrics and you put them in a rhythmic fashion. That's what a rhyme is. It's taking lyrics and putting them in rhythmic fashion.
And you know what's so funny? A lot of the people that we call lyricists, we get so caught up in their flow and they ain't really saying nothing on the page. This man actually has words that people are quoting, actual lyrics, but he's not a lyricist, right? Show me somebody else that gets pegged with being a great songwriter but's not a lyricist.
It's very problematic.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I think there is an odd correlation between Tupac slander and the campaign to elevate Eminem as the GOAT. They can't win sales, so they go after lyrics. You know what? I think that's a very interesting observation. I'm going to get to that real quick. Shady Supreme. This might be an Eminem fan. I don't know. Shady Supreme. He said, the preacher want to bury me. Why? Because I know he a liar. Have you ever seen a crackhead with the eternal fire? Pac's third verse on Blasphemy is insane lyricism. Yeah. It's verse on White Man's World. Yep, somebody just said that. What was I going to say? Yes, I think that was a very interesting astute observation, Jay Short, because I think we were just on this podcast a couple of episodes ago, and we said that Eminem wouldn't stand a chance against Tupac in a rap battle. Some people disagreed, most people agreed. But it's funny now that this lyricism or lack thereof when it comes to Tupac has become a conversation. Because we see who they try to elevate when it comes to being a lyricist.
This is what I mean. Part of the problem with Pac in this sphere, and I'm not joking when I say this, is our education level. Pac is a classically trained writer. He does classically trained writing things that the average rap listener, because of the socioeconomics and educational background, they don't pick up some of the brilliant things Pac does as a lyricist. I'm going to go back to what I always go back to just as a simple example of his brilliant songwriting and what it means to be a lyricist in the real literary devices and writer sense of it. Picture perfect. I paint a perfect picture. Bomb hoochies with precision. My intentions with her with the S and double OP dog, my fucking homie. Use a cold ass nigga on them all. Sure enough. How's he start off that verse? Picture perfect. I paint a perfect picture. Bombing hoochies with precisions. My intentions to get with her. Are you listening to what the fuck he is saying? That's not lyrics to you. That's not literary devices to you. He did more in 4 bars than most niggas did in 96, and it was the best rap year ever.
Darren Harris with the super chat.
What the fuck are we talking about?
Darren Harris with the super chat says, that article also had top 10 producer lists with Dre and Primo at 1 and 2. Prodigy was mentioned one as their biggest regret not making the top 50. Wow, they didn't have him in the whole top 50?
Very disrespectful.
Unknown Name said, I've always said that Biggie being heralded as much as he has is a direct shot at Pac and New York radio and media. Poet is the definition of a lyricist. Correct. Like, I've never heard anybody be heralded as such a great poet, but he's not a lyricist.
Listen, This isn't lyrical. Now, we was both two niggas of the same kind, quick to holler at a hoochie, but the same line. You was just a little smaller, but still roll. Got stressed the YA and hit the hood swole. Remember when you had a Jerry curl, didn't quite learn. Right. Like, no, that's lyrical. He's taking you to a place and setting a scene the way a great writer and lyricist does.
I guess people want Pac to be out there.
Call to the tips. Oh, you a Muslim now? No more dope games. Heard you might be coming home. Just got bail. Want to go to the mosque or want to chase tail. Seems I lost my little homie. He's a changed man. Hit the pen and now no more sinning is the game plan. When I talk about money, all you see is the struggle. When I'm telling you, when I tell you I'm living large, you tell me it's trouble. Congratulations on the wedding. I hope your wife knows she got a player for life, and that's no bullshitting. I know we grew apart. You probably don't remember. I used to fiend for your sister, but never went up in her. Yo, what the fuck are niggas talking about?
You know, anybody who
what do niggas be talking about? Like, when I say shit like that, what are you talking about?
You know, and my thing with T-Pain, man, like I said, it's one thing that you out here speaking on the dead in ill fashion. But as a grown 37, soon to be 38-year-old black man, you listen to this man's music and you don't connect, there's something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with you if you don't connect to this shit. That's what I'm saying.
If you don't connect to the shit that you hear,
from the hood.
Something wrong with you, bro.
Yeah, right. If you don't feel that shit, it's like I can't. You want to know what? I can't fuck with you.
You know what? I used to feel sorry. I used to feel sorry for the fact that, you know, people stole a lot of T-Pain's swag and his approach to recording and all of that, and don't work with him now. I kind of understand why now.
Like Pac be saying, like Pac says real shit even when he's talking shit. Like on No More Pain, where he's like, Alizé and Cristal, we sure you heard of all the freaky shit they say about me. Like he says real live shit like you want like a real poet, which is a lyricist, to say. Because, you know, like part of the thing of a poet is to evoke the emotions of a community.
It's about connecting. There's so many rappers, so many rapidy rap rappers of people who can put all kind of words together that don't connect. So how do we sit here and minimize the lyricist that does connect?
Like, hold on, this doesn't like when he's on So Many Tears. Lately, I've been really wanting babies, so I can see a part of me that wasn't always shady. Don't trust my lady, because she's a product of this poison. I'm hearing noises, think she's fucking all my boys, can't take no more. I'm falling to the floor, begging for the Lord to let me into heaven's door. That's not lyrical to you?
I don't understand.
What the fuck are you talking about? Then I'm gonna say it again. You get what I'm saying? I can go down his whole catalog of where he's saying striking supreme lyrical shit.
Not to mention, he was only 24, 25 when he left this earth. When he died. So yeah, he was 25, but I mean, a bulk of his work was when he was 24 and younger. Let's just be real.
20 to 24 is when he did most of
you know what I mean? So those type of perspectives in that age range, and y'all want to sit here and talk about this man ain't a lyricist?
Hold on. I'm going to go to your bars, Mike. I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so tough. And though we had it rough, we always had enough. Oh, you don't feel that? That don't do something to you?
Right. 007 with the super chat says, Eminem is dropping a new album, but is anyone sitting on the edge of their seats in anticipation? No. Why? His musical output, that's what kept Pac and Big alive. That's what kept Nas the GOAT. All about output. And you know, and again, and I got love for Big Boy, man. Big Boy out there in LA, right? But I think he had Logic on the show. And they were spewing that notion that the reason why people are downing Eminem now is because he lived. If he would have had an unfortunate demise, they feel that his legacy would have been elevated. I think when people say stuff like that, that is a direct shot at Pac and Big and where their place is in this hip-hop echelon. But their music speaks to that. You know, if M wasn't no longer here, right? You know, and no one was selling anybody. The music doesn't carry that notion. So let's not say those type of things. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that discredits the work that Pac and Big actually did put down, making it seem like the reason why they're elevated is because they're no longer here. No, it's because of the music they made.
Mike,
and that was part of what T-Pain said, Mike, too.
No. Listen, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why Pac is a lyricist. Like, spitting his shit will get you emotional. I need to blow my fucking nose right now. I'm tearing up from spitting his shit. M don't have no shit like that, nigga.
No.
What is wrong with niggas? I need to blow my nose right now because just listening and recalling all the phenomenal shit this man said.
It's disrespectful, man.
Hold on. Between the ages of 20 to 25, he wasn't even a mature black man yet.
No.
He hadn't even hit his stride yet as a black man. Like, Mike, you know this. Like, you know this, Mike. You hit your stride between 35 to 40 just like me. This nigga died at 25 and he's talking this way. Do you know what he would be at our age?
I can't imagine. And for people to disrespect that,
this shit, like, no, nigga.
For people to disrespect that is unforgivable. So, you know, again, I don't even see how people can fix their mouths to say these type of things.
Nigga, T-Pain canceled. I'll never listen to any one of his songs.
No, I'm cool. I'm cool on him. And that's for real. Cool on him. And you know what? And I like his music. The
only song that he made that I kept in my database was "Buy You a Drink," and I'm deleting that shit.
I'm cool. Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
As the great Snoop Dogg would say.
Do this shit. Not you. This ain't even like we would be having a different conversation if like this was like, I don't know, Nas, LL, Jay, Rakim saying this. No, nigga, this is T-Pain.
But they would never say that because they respect the legacy and the work that was put in. Like, dude, where you come off saying stuff like this, man? And you know what? We as a community, and I'm talking about the hip-hop community at large, we got to stop allowing people to go out there and clout chase on some shit like this. You say stuff like that, you done. That's it.
No, see, this is what happens. See, like social media in like this digital age, like protected niggas from getting their ass whooped. Like niggas need to feel like they still can get their ass stomped out for what they say. You feel what I'm saying? Like I be thinking, I told you, Mike, like about 3 to 5 people a month pull up on me about according to hip hop, but I know how I be talking and acting sometimes. So like I be like, what? Huh? Like what? Like no, like niggas like be doing this because it's like they don't get their ass whooped no more. It's like no ass whoopings are like life affirming things where you think a nigga might roll up on you and do something to you based on how you behave. But when you get to do all this little shit on the camera and hide and duck people, it makes people tougher than what they are.
Well, I think that when you come from a perspective like that, it says a lot about you. You know what I mean? Like, so anything that, I mean, the fact that T-Pain even said what he had to say about Pac and his work, I don't want to have anything that, like, we have nothing to converse about. Jay Short with Super Chat says, I ain't a killer, but don't push me, bro. Revenge is the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. You don't have to be hood to feel that. Every man felt those bars. Yeah, I mean, he was able to relate to everybody on every level.
Isn't that some of the realest shit ever, though? I ain't a killer, but don't push me.
He told you, straight up. Man, and again, and what I didn't like about...
the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. Like, that's real shit. Like,
what I didn't like about their exchange either, they minimized Tupac into Hit 'Em Up. And I think that's very dangerous in itself.
I told you I don't like that song. I don't like the whole Death Row Tupac thing, living longer than Tupac thing. Yeah. Tupac was a thinker and a philosopher and a poet and somebody who wasn't an agent of change per se as much as he was the voice for somebody that was going to be the agent of change. And so when you typecast him as that hit 'em up, death row, chain swinging guy, you take a lot of the value away.
Yeah.
And we're not about to allow that shit to happen.
Exactly. And this opens the door for them to have conversations like what they just had.
Tupac was a whole legend and a whole thing and a whole phenomenon unto himself before he ever recorded one fucking song for Death Row.
And yeah, man, all this off-code behavior, stop speaking on the dead legends.
No, niggas need to be, like, this is what I'm saying. This is like, if there was dudes out, like, this is what I mean, like, the streets is different now. Like, this nigga out here talking like this, like, the streets didn't used to run like this. Niggas like this couldn't talk like this because there was dudes that was going to go slap the shit out of you.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, yo, somebody around you would slap the shit out of you for this. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what stories he's heard. And I don't know who he's spoken to, but stories that I've heard, real ones.
Right. I mean, you know, my brothers, and Pac wasn't always the best dude. My brothers did security for Pac one time. Pac smaller than me, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my brothers did security for Pac one time. It's like they smoked the blunt with him too, but he wasn't the nicest dude in the world, so he could be very problematic at times. I've been told, including by my brothers who met him firsthand. But he was a smart dude and a loving dude too. It's like he hopped my brothers in the limo and let them smoke with him too, even though he was arrogant as fuck. You know?
I think that there's a part of that, you know, just being young and being super famous. But I think when you're heralded to that level and you got your guard up, you know, everybody that's around you could possibly want something from you. You know, I think it was somebody who was, I was reading some comment, they was talking about Michael Jordan. And long story short, the guy was like, well, you know, I guess he was cool with his neighbor or something. Anyway, he said he's not the nicest guy and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, with somebody like that, anywhere they go, anywhere they walk, they're getting hounded by people. How can you expect somebody to be nice to everybody? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just unrealistic. We got the waterworks going.
Nah, it's Pac, man. I love Pac.
I love him too, man. And I take it personally. You know what? I take it personally when people take shots at folks like that who did so much for the culture, who went out here and died, gave their lives.
Yeah, I take that Pac shit.
That shit ain't cool.
No, it's not cool.
Yeah. Let's move on to this top 50 list, man. We're like 2 hours and 15 minutes in. We still got like 420 something people in the room. Thumbs up in the chat. So,
yeah,
for the people that are just getting there,
speaking of which, you know who else loves Pac?
What's that?
Zelda. They shout Pac out all the time.
Pac is a real one. We got a super chat here from Nabi. Says, if I die tonight, against all odds,
that's what
wherever you are with Daddy Kane.
The hearts of men. Yes, the hearts of men.
Can't see me. I love you, can't see me. Ambitions of a rider. Hearts of men. And the verse that he had on Deadly Combination.
Hold on. What they said, if I die tonight on off Me Against the World, yeah, Mike, you can't. He the realest nigga ever, Mike. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, man, what are we doing? And like I said,
he the realest ever put pen to paper and actually live it out. What are we doing?
Like I said, man, if you can't feel that shit, I don't really know what to say to you.
I can't fuck with you.
I mean, and like I said, I get it for people who might not be of a certain culture or whatever. But T-Pain, man, you're a 38-year-old black man, and you sitting here talking that type of stuff about Pac? Man, you crazy, bro.
I can't fuck with you no more.
Clayton is asleep. Says, show me T-Pain's Death Around the Corner.
Mike, this ain't even counting like the soundtrack shit, like My Block, Pour Out a Little Liquor, Pain.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like T-Pain?
This is the problem, and this is why these things need to be.
Free bands. Like this shit too free for me. Niggas need to get smacked.
This is why these things need to be addressed. Because if you let people go out here and talk like this for a generation who might not know as much about this man's legacy, it continuously gets erased. It gets erased. The narrative gets changed, and then you get minimized to hit them up. And like you said, the death row Pac, other than looking at the whole scope of it. And so that's why I don't like when people go out here and do these short-sighted little takes or whatever, and damn, they're disrespectful, because like you said, he wouldn't say those things if Pac was here living. And I'm not saying that because on some big and bad shit, you wouldn't say those things about Ice Cube right now.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you wouldn't say those things.
Like nigga, Pac would be in New York running up on bootleggers, bootlegging his shit in the streets.
It's video footage of that.
There's footage of that where he is checking niggas and literally taking his shit from me. This is my shit, nigga. Like, do something and we'll bust that ass right now.
Yep.
Right now. This is why he's living out in California and coming back to New York. Like, this nigga is as real as it gets by our definition of what real is on all accounts, as in life, in music, in what he writes, in what he speaks about in this community. Who the fuck is T-Pain, Mike? Like, really, in relationship to Tupac, and here's what I mean about how, like, this, like, digital shit has changed everything. People on T-Pain's level used to not feel comfortable speaking about people on Tupac's level.
Right.
And I'm telling you, the only thing that changes that is ass whoopings. Like, ain't no talking about to change that. No, niggas need their ass whooped. Like, whoop a nigga ass behind that shit and watch if he talk that shit again, because that's how the shit you really used to roll.
DeCarlo, nobody is worshiping anybody. We're just respecting the legacy and the work that's been put in. And this is a part of keeping history correct. Because if you just let people run wild with narratives and give falsehoods, then shit gets out of whack. Like I said, I think that narrative that Tupac's not a lyricist is very convoluted to me. And I think it's disrespectful to the work that this man did put down when it comes to putting pen to paper. And not to mention his execution. And because it doesn't make sense to call somebody a poet and say that they're not a lyricist. How many people can you say that about? That they're a poet, a great poet, but not a lyricist? Come on.
Hold on. There is no separation. I want you to understand this. You can't call Nas a poet and not call Tupac a poet. You do not get to separate those things because you like the traditional East Coast format that one of those guys puts it in.
Exactly. I couldn't have put it better myself.
It is literally, they literally have a comparable song where, you get what I'm saying? No. You do not get to separate that shit up in here. Now, if you prefer the traditional type of East Coast lyricism that Nas provides, that's fine. But you're not about to sit up there and say Tupac's not a lyricist.
Right.
Like,
that's like me saying that Scarface is not a lyricist. How could I say that? When he made Never Seen a Man Cry, like, I can't say that. He wrote one of the best verses ever on shit. I'm tripping. He wrote one of the best verses ever on Mind Playing Tricks on Me. That third verse. That's lyricism, man.
No, all of those verses.
All of those
I was actually thinking pick a verse.
Yeah, pick a verse. But that third verse is one of the greatest verses of all time.
You think so? Hold on. Which one is that?
Day by day, it's more impossible to
Impossible
cope.
to cope. I
I
feel like
feel
I'm
like
the
I'm
one
the
that's
one that's
moved up.
being, man,
No, you see, here's the
can't
thing. He
keep a
wrote,
steady hand because
Mike,
I'm nervous. Every Sunday morning, I'm in service, praying for forgiveness, trying to find an exit
way
out the
about the
business. It's
business.
so many different emotions, man. Like, it's crazy.
He wrote Bushwick's verse.
Yeah. And the Bushwicks verse is a standout verse for obvious reasons. But that third verse, that's the one. That's one of the greatest
That's what I'm
verses
saying.
ever.
It's like, Mike, I think it's the first one.
It's a great verse too.
That's what I mean.
But
It's
I'm
like, where
just
you need to
saying,
go.
that third verse, the different emotions that he goes through, the schizophrenia that he goes through in that verse, that's brilliance. That's lyricism. But people will sit there and tell you because it's not bombatomically, Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses. And no disrespect to Deck, I love Deck. But because it's not that kind of lyricism, people will tell you that's not a lyricist.
So I think that's why, if I'm not mistaken, though, and this is where we tried to provide some balance, I believe that the verse from I Ain't Mad at You and My Mind Playing Tricks on Me both fell in our top 10 all-time greatest verses list, but so did Triumph and so did Verbal
Of
Intercourse.
course. Because they're all great verses.
Both. There's
Yeah.
space for both. Like Verbal Intercourse and Triumph, or what I would like to call your traditional East Coast, like Harvard law book, put it in the canon type of, but in the same top 10, we had Tupac's first verse of I Ain't Mad at You, Scarface's third verse for Mind Playing Tricks on You, because those verses belong right next to Deck's verse on Triumph and Nas's verse on Verbal Intercourse. They do.
In my personal opinion, and I wouldn't
And if you
argue
don't understand
somebody.
that shit, I can't fuck with you.
In my personal opinion, and I wouldn't, feel away if somebody felt the other way. I think that third verse on Mind Playing Tricks on Me is better than Deck's verse on Triumph. To me.
I think we might have had them right next to each other.
Yeah.
I think Deck's verse might have been ahead by one slot. But if you felt that way, no, I can't deny you that.
Because I feel like a Deck verse like that, as special as it is, we can get one of them again. I don't think you get that many.
No, you remember, like, this is what I mean. Like, you don't think Pac's a lyricist? You remember Pac on If I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto?
I love that.
And now
record.
Bush Can't Stop the Hit. I predicted the shit into Apocalypse. Come on, man. He's talking about George H. Bush, not W.
007 with the super chat says, I have declared war on the rich who prosper over the poverty and politicians who lie to us with the smiling faces and all the mindless, heartless robots who protect them and their property. Asada Shakur. Shout out to Asada Shakur. Living her life out there in Cuba.
We're not
think there's No, we're not going there. Jay Short with the super chat says, funny, considered T-Pain isn't even a classical singer. Isn't even a classic singer. You want to go to this list?
Yeah, let's go to the list, because it's like I'm going to do the Tupac thing to the end of the show if you don't.
All right, so this list I put together, the top Southern MCs, top 50 Southern MCs all time. I did this like 4 years ago, and now I'm looking back at it, I'm like, man, this shit is way off. Ant Learn with the super chat says, T-Pain wished that he had an unconditional love. Andre Shashir says, Pac wasn't that tough. He was talking crazy at a concert here in Milwaukee, and the gangsters ran him off stage, fearing for his life. There was a video, too.
Okay, like, I hate when guys say that. It's like, okay, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you want to know what I'm most proud of, Mike? It's that I abide by street laws when I'm in somebody else's town. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Hammer ran Redman about an Oakland one town. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, it happens.
You don't fuck with niggas in they hood. I be telling people that. It's like when I travel, no. I follow the rules that the neighborhood requires, that I follow to make it out safely. That's why I was telling you that story about when I was up on Boulder Crest that time. It's like, oh, no. I'm from the east side. I know how this shit rolls. I know what it is, what you do. I know how you do it. I know how fast you do it. I'm following protocol every time I step out. When you do not follow protocol, it does not matter who you are, Mike. I be telling niggas that streets don't care who you are. You are going to follow protocol and respect the rules. If you do not respect the rules, they're gonna ride on your ass. That is Tupac. That is Biggie. That is Nas. That is Jay. Like when Jay was like saying that shit on I went to Soul Train with more chains and blank that the niggas won't do a thing. I'm like, yeah, niggas won't do a thing as long as you stay within certain parameters or certain blocks that I know you and them ain't about to go to, because you're not about to go to Compton and talk that shit. You better stay your ass right there in LA on them little, like right there. Don't you go 15 minutes over there. You feel what I'm saying? And he knew that, and you can verify that. Oh, he didn't go over there when he was out there. You feel me?
Right.
After he said that. Like, niggas got to understand, you got to respect niggas' rules and niggas' laws, period. I obey the rules and the laws wherever the fuck it is. Mike, I was back home in Charlotte one time at a party. One of my best friends from high school invited me to a party. I'm pretty well known. He was like, ain't no phones or no nothing in here. I'm like, I'm keeping my phone. He's like, we gonna shoot you. I said, take the phone.
On that note, let's get to this top 50. I had Scarface at number 1. I don't think anybody has a problem with that.
Mike, I have Scarface with 6 dots behind it. It's like, I wish a motherfucker would.
And 4 years ago, I had Andre 3000 at number 2.
I don't.
I don't anymore either. So, who do you have at number 2?
My number 2 and my number 3 is debatable. So I want to bring up my number 2 and my number 3.
Okay, go for
it. And my number 4 if people want. Can I just give you my top 5? How about this? Can I give you my top 5? Can we do them in 5?
Get a top 5.
Because we've already kind of been running for like a minute anyway.
Yeah, give me 5.
Number 1, I have Scarface. Number 2, I have Pusha T. Number 3, I have Lil Wayne. Number 4, I have J. Cole. Number 5, I have T.I. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Because
ain't no rapper without no goddamn solo album breaking my top 5 on any list. Even a regional list. Even a regional list, you're not breaking my top 5. All right? Let's go ahead and get that out the way.
So number 2, you got Pusha T, and I know you said between Wayne and Push, interchangeable. I'm going to keep it all the way a buck. You know I'm more of a Pusha T fan.
Right.
Wayne deserves that number 2 spot.
Except for the fact that he hasn't faded Pusha T, and Pusha T has faded him. In this rap climate, Mike, you don't never put ahead a nigga that done lost to another nigga. He done lost to Pusha T. I'm not putting him ahead.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. He doesn't have, as great as his catalog is, and his catalog beginning to end is better than Pusha T's catalog. But in this hip hop spirit that we work in, it is comparable enough that you don't get to take that L and then have your right hand man take the L too and put you above this nigga. You didn't take the L. You and your mans took the L. Two of you the 2 biggest niggas from your era, and y'all took an L from this nigga, and he has a classic solo album. He's got
what? I will give you that.
Listen. He's got Pusha T has a Triple Crown. He has a classic mixtape. He has a classic solo album. He has a classic group project, and he faded the 2 biggest artists of his era in a battle, including the nigga that I put behind him, which is the main reason I put behind him. I'm like, hold on. I'm not putting a nigga with a classic mixtape, classic solo album, classic group album, and faded you and your fucking mans. I cannot put you ahead of him, because this is hip-hop. When the fuck in the streets did we ever do that?
You know what? I can give you that. And I think that's one of Wayne's shortcomings, in the fact that he never really jumped up with competition like that, because everybody that's at the top, and they've had situations like that, they put it in check. Ant Lauren with the super chat says, Mr. Mike or Big Mike didn't make the list. We'll talk about that.
Big Mike, I'm Serious is pretty tough.
It is pretty tough.
He might have got us with something, because I'm Serious is one of the best Southern rap albums. How about this? I'm Serious is a top 50 Southern rap album, even if he's not a top 50 Southern MC. Back to the Wayne shit. Saying fuck Pusha T on Twitter one day ain't gonna cut it, fam. Where the fucking records at?
What do you think about T.I. though in that conversation, in that scope of it? Because T.I.'s done the battle. He's done, pretty much everything. Like, he's got the features. He's got the albums. He has the duration. He has the skill level. He's held his own.
Not holding up. So let's talk about it. I put him at number 5. I'm going to tell you why he's at number 5 and he's not higher, because I kind of wanted to put him at 2 or 3 and make this a more viable conversation. His catalog is not holding up well, if we're going to be honest and be objective. It's holding up very much. Hold on. How about this? Remember when I'd say about how some of Jay's stuff is not as strong as it used to be? It's like that with T.I. shit, except for it's harder because Tip is not the lyricist that Jay is. So some of that Jay shit that I say that don't hold up from his era, but some of that Tip shit's not holding up as well. Specifically, the stuff that's not on trap music or King is not holding up as well.
Right.
Tell me that I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
Because how often do you go listen to the shit on Paper Trail? You feel me?
I don't listen to Paper Trail at all. I think when
that's probably his fourth best album, Mike. So that's problematic
to me. I think for me, whenever I go listen to Tip, it's more urban legend, trap music, and King.
And so if you go after those
King,
albums,
if we want to talk about mixtapes and stuff like that.
Right. So is any of those albums better than the Carter 2, the Carter 3, Daytona, or Hell Hath No Fury? Maybe King?
Yeah, I think King, to me, is better than some of those Carters.
King's better than the Carter 3, but not Carter 2.
You know what? I would give trap music over the Carter 2, though, for me.
I can't do that.
I think so.
I guess you want to know, how about this? The Carter 2.
I'm just doing my job.
Hold on. The Carter 2 is a breaking point for me when it comes to Wayne and T.I., if I'm being objective, and I'm going to tell you why. The way Wayne is spitting beginning in the Carter 2, it's like, no, T.I.'s not spitting like that beginning to end on any project. Not beginning to end. He might have more high moments like I'm Talking to You on King. He might have more high single moments like What You Know. He might have more of a feel with certain songs on trap music. But like that motherfucker Wayne.
It's kind of like Carter that Tupac thing, though, Coop. I think a lot of the
Carter 2, hold on. The Carter 2, lyrically speaking, is a top 5 Southern hip hop mic performance, and that's including group shit, including Outkast shit, Face shit. It's like that on the Carter 2. He's like that, and I had to go back and listen to King and trap music in the Carter 2 to be certain. He's superior as an MC. Like Wayne's superiority as an MC is slightly better than what Tip does, almost on some Ghostface versus Method Man type shit. It's like bar for bar, Tip is better, but all things considered, when Wayne's in that zone like he is on the Carter 2, can't say that Tip is better when Wayne goes to Carter 2 level. And he's on Carter 2 level, all of Carter 2, as in from intro to Lock and Low with Corrupt, to Best Rapper Alive, to More Fire, to Fireman, to Money on My Mind, to the Oh No shit, to Shooter with Robin Thicke. No, his spit game on there, some of the best Southern rap spit shit ever put down. As a matter of fact, as far as a solo MC carrying weight is concerned, it might be only behind The Diary lyrically, Mike.
Jay Short
it's like that on the Carter 2. That nigga's special.
Jay Short with the super chat says, is there a Rick Ross argument for top 5? No one outside of Face can beat him in the verses, and he'd have 20 to spare. Honorable mention, a little flip too.
Can we go to my next 10?
Ross thing?
Can we go to my next 10?
Go ahead. Hold on, let me get to the super chat. Let me get to these super chats real quick.
Yeah,
007 says, side note, gentleman, Jigga Man said that he's not actively making music or an album. And is not sure what the future holds, but he's gonna leave it open.
I don't believe him. He's a hustler. I don't believe him. You don't trust. Look here, how many times do you have to be hustled before, you know what I'm saying? How many times you gonna drop it in the bag before you realize that you dropped it in the bag? Okay. I don't believe any of that shit. He's recording actively, he's scheming, Mike, this guy is the most competitive guy of all the great MCs. Of all the great MCs, he's the one with that Tom Brady in him. It's like, I don't want anybody to beat me at anything.
Michael Jordan in him, yeah.
In tennis, he's Novak Djokovic. Federer and the doll don't care anymore. They're like, we all got majors. We all got 20-plus majors. We're all worth $100-plus, $200-plus million. Djokovic is the only one that's like, I want to beat these motherfuckers and be the one. That's who Jay is in this business. Don't tell me that this motherfucker's sitting around not plotting. Don't do that. That's disrespectful to who he's been competitively.
Michael Williams says that life is good.
Die.
Right.
That doesn't die. That's why Tom Brady retired for 2 hours and then came. It doesn't die, Mike. You just suppress it. It's
Michael Williams with the super chat says,
he's probably talking to somebody about this shit. Do you understand that, Mike? You probably got a therapist. He's probably talking to somebody about his competitive nature and how problematic it is within the confines of a normal life.
Well, we'll see. Michael Williams of the Super Chat says, Life is Good's 10th anniversary is today. One of my favorite Nas projects. Stay is my favorite song. Some say hating is confused admiration. Yeah, bars. Topping that with the Super Chat says, Birdman Jr., he spazzed. Yes, he did. That's Carter 1.
Stay
Let's go
is
with...
probably
Go ahead.
Stay is probably the best song on Life is Good. I'm tired of telling you niggas that Life is Good is just good. Life is Good is like Nas' 7th, 8th, or 9th best album. Next.
Cherry Wine's my favorite song on there.
Cherry Wine would be second for me. Stay is the one with the most staying power, though, because of the bars. That's that shit that Tupac and Nas do, like on that philosophical, intelligent, lyrical level, where you think about it and feel it, and they're like, oh, where some confused hating is admiration. Yeah, that's that shit.
All right, so let me get your 6 through 10.
Big Boy at number 6.
Okay.
Rick Ross at number 7. So close to top 5. And thought about swapping out Rick Ross and T.I. and really had to have a catalog conversation with myself about the importance of their great albums. T.I.'s great albums are more important than Rick Ross's greatest albums, even though Rick Ross's albums are better overall. And Big Boy obviously has the Outkast stuff in the solo career, so I comfortably fit him in between. Right after Rick Ross, I put Andre. I did not put Andre 3000 because Andre 3000 did not really rap.
He didn't. Andre 3000 was introduced to us on Stankonia.
But Andre, who rapped on Southern Playalistic and ATLians and Aquemini, although that guy has no real solo material, the shit that he did on those 3 projects and the brevity of verses on Stankonia alone and
features and all that stuff.
Features, and I was actually thinking the R&B album that he did that he's barely rapping on, that niggas is trying to pop up 20 years later and act like he actually rapped on seriously. That's still enough to get him placed at number 8. Okay. But not any higher than, because I realized this, because I kept sliding him down. I'm like, where catalog-wise is it fair to put somebody's catalog ahead of him? Everybody that I have ahead of him has the catalog that says that they should be ahead of him. Scarface, Pusha T, Lil Wayne, J. Cole, T.I., Big Boy, Rick Ross. Those are the best Southern catalogs. Once the catalog conversation was over, put the best MC in. He fell at number 8. Not that 3 Stacks nigga. I don't know who that guy is as an MC. He liked to rap. He liked to sing. He liked to play the guitar. He liked to disappear. But Andre, from albums 1 to 3 and at parts of Stankonia and The Love Below, that guy's number 8. Number 9 is Ludacris. Number 10 is CeeLo.
Blue Collar Hustle with the Super Chat says, Coop, nobody agrees with you on the Life is Good. Join the light. I think 007 got one too. He said, Coop, be careful. You sounded like you on that mic-ish, comparing Nas to Nas. Because Life is Good is a 7, 8, 9, or 10 on Nas's list. On a lot of others, it'll probably be top 3. And y'all blowing up Life is Good. I'm going to go listen to it tonight. That's what we doing?
No, it's not. Hold on. How about this? That Blaze list that we named, Life is Good would only be number 3 maybe on LL or Cool G Rap's catalog. It would not be number 3 on Rakim or KRS-One's catalog. It would not be number 3 on Biggie's catalog. It would not be number 3 on Jay's catalog. It would not be number 3 on Ice Cube's catalog. It would not be number... Maybe you want to know... Oh, shit, these motherfuckers got the point. Hold on. Slick Rick, Cool G Rap,
maybe.
LL. Man, fuck y'all. Hold on.
So your number 10 was CeeLo?
Yeah, CeeLo's number 10. Hold on, Illmatic, it was written.
Let me see. Let me change
Illmatic, Lost Tapes, Godson, KD2, Magic. No, nigga, that shit is like 8 or 9. I'm not changing that shit. It's like an 8th or 9th. No, I don't care if it's the 8th or 9th best album. Like Stevie Wonder don't have a... Is Stevie Wonder's 9th best album a classic? Is Stevie Wonder's 8th or 9th best album a classic? What about Prince? Is Prince's 8th or 9th best album a classic?
Nah.
That's like Diamonds and Pearls.
About Stevie either.
That's like Diamonds and Pearls isn't even like Diamonds and Pearls is like his 6th or 7th best album. Prince, stop that.
Yo, man, somebody said, I think it was Jay Short said Luda got no classics. What do y'all think about that? All right.
Luda might be the best MC in here lyrically, not named Andre or Cole, though. What would you say to that, just purely speaking?
Just off bars?
Just off bars. Look, Face, Pusha T, Wayne, Cole, T.I., Big Boy, Rick Ross, Andre, Ludacris, CeeLo. Where would you put Luda as a lyricist in those guys? Because I would put him right after Dre and CeeLo, probably. And Cole, right? Fourth, Dre, CeeLo, Cole.
I think the thing is, if I'm going into the booth, right, and I need a dope freestyle or like just some straight up bars, I might even go to Luda before Cole, for that matter. I might even go to Luda before. I've never heard Andre 3000 freestyle. I've never heard that.
I'm about to say.
So
this is what I mean about evidence, and this is part of how Luda ended up in my top 10. It's like, oh no, I'm pretty certain that I heard this thing called the Made You Look remix one time.
Well, I mean, for the Rap City and the Basement fans.
No, I mean,
Luda ran the basement. Luda ran the basement.
Let's talk about East Coast standard for bars. There's a Made You Look remix that has a prime Nas and a prime Jadakiss on it. Is Ludacris not rapping bar for bar with those guys?
Oh, definitely. Nas the GOAT says, Coop, in my opinion, Rick Ross should be top 5. He arguably has the best catalog on the list outside of Scarface. Pusha T is not number 2, my guy. LOL. That's your bias kicking in.
No, it's not.
Andre Shashir says, Life is Good is a nice album.
Right. It's a great album. It's a great album. First of all, I'm going to say this again. This is what I keep saying about Pusha T. Am I biased? Like, maybe. Mike, isn't Re-Up Gang 1 and 2 classic?
Shit's crazy.
Isn't Lord Willin' and Hell Hath No Fury considered classic?
At least Hell Hath No Fury.
Is Grinding a classic?
It is.
Is Daytona a classic?
We overlook a lot of the stuff that Pusha T's done in his career.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, hold on. It's like, well, how many guys are really walking around? I'm serious. How many guys are walking around with mixtape classics, group classics, album classics?
Yeah, it's not a lot of people.
And hold on, Mike. And has a little feather in the cap, can say, I faded the 2 biggest artists in my era.
Yeah.
Not one. I faded the 2 biggest artists in my era. I'm not putting anybody over him except for Face when I thought about that. Because he's got the material and hold on. And how many niggas have actually lived the fucking life that the feds were really on them too? He's actually talking the shit and lived the shit that these niggas be talking about. What more could you want from a rapper? You want street cred? He got it. You want bars? He got it. You want classics? He got it. You want a nigga that won a battle and ain't never lost? He got it.
The other thing that's big that we're not talking about, the longevity he has.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been doing it. Hold on. He's been around longer than everybody on this list except for Wayne and Scarface. And Outkast, pretty much.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about being active, though, like his area of activity probably outspans everybody other than Scarface, right?
No, his activity level hold on. So how about this? This is what I mean about going to work. Okay, so the top 3 guys on my Southern list are the guys that actually have done the most work too.
Yeah.
That's Face, Pusha T, and Wayne. They've stayed working. You have to work at this. People who are the best at stuff, like Mike, Tom Brady's the best NFL football player of all time because he's been the best for the longest.
He's got the most work. Jay Short with the super chat says, Andre bit CeeLo's Perfect Imperfection album to make the love below, and CeeLo sang and rapped better. Interesting take. You know, I don't disagree with you. I do think The Love Below is a better album, but not by a lot. But I do love the fact that CeeLo was able to actually do a full song where it was 3 verses, 3 rap verses. And
big old words.
Not to mention that. Yeah, big old words. Not to mention that he actually gave a really great contribution to that Dungeon Family album while he was recording Perfect Imperfections. He was recording both of those albums at the same time. Well, Andre just gave the Dungeon Family album Trans DF Express verse and another singing song.
CeeLo is very Lupe-like in the sense that his lyrical output is very, very supreme, but sometimes his execution leaves you wanting more. And I say that respectfully for somebody that loves him, because if we're actually, how about this? If we're going bar for bar, he's the best lyricist in the South.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Bar for bar, whoever lived down here, CeeLo. Over Dre, over Cole.
Yeah.
Right. He's like that.
The relentless realism. Regardless
represent. Schools I possess and manifest a heaven sense. No nonsense, because my conscience was right. So when he's there, he's literally there in a way that even like Andre, Luda, Wayne, Cole, like, no, they're not him lyrically when he hits his mark. But it's the same thing that goes on with Lupe. Hitting the mark lyrically does not equate to great songs or music.
You remember the All I Know record? Was that Phil Mob with T.I. was on there?
Yes. Yes.
CeeLo closed out.
Yeah, I told you Smoke.
Even on the Earth Gang record, CeeLo closes out.
Yes. You know, me and Smoke used to have the same barber. I used to run into him.
Smoke around. Born King says, no JT Money on this list?
No. I used to run into JT Money on South Cobb at the liquor store.
JT Money's a legend. I like JT Money.
It
didn't cross my mind when I wrote the list, but I need to consider that. I say it didn't cross my mind. I need to consider.
Not top 50. Not top 50. No.
Well, some of the people I got in here, like 21 Savage, and I think that.
No. So let's get to it. How do you feel about my top 10? You want me to run my top 10 down again?
Run your top 10 down again, because I got
Scarface, Pusha T, Lil Wayne, and you want to know what? If you want to put Wayne ahead of Pusha T, it's just like you're gonna have to show me where it's been okay for a nigga to lose a battle, for his man to lose a battle, and for us to put the nigga ahead of him.
Well, and also the questionable pen stuff. The questionable pen stuff. It is what it is.
Right. So my list is pretty solid.
No, I'm with you, and everything you said about Pusha T, I mean, that's hard to refute.
Right.
I know it doesn't sound right to people for Pusha T to be number 2 in the South, but I think you might be on to something.
Hold on, think about it. Daytona is a classic, right?
Yeah.
Hell Hath No Fury is a classic, right?
Yeah.
Re-Up Gang Volume 1 and Volume 2 is a classic, right?
I don't know if it's classic to everyone else, but I love it.
No. Re-Up Gang, at least one of those. So it's like at least Volume 1 or Volume 2 is classic. The most niggas that know hip-hop.
Cry Now is one of my favorite mixtape songs ever.
Yes.
Period.
Grinding. Like, Grinding is one of the best hip-hop songs ever, isn't it?
Yeah.
He checks all the boxes. He won a battle against Lil Wayne and Drake while they were at their peak. Like, he never let up on them, and they lost. It's like, how did y'all lose that? It's like everything was in your favor, and you still lost. Like, you have no reason not to put him at number 2, because here's the thing about it, too. He's been hotter longer than all these other niggas, except for Wayne and Face 2. That's what I mean. Like, he's been viable.
The one thing I will kind of push back on, are you okay with J. Cole being over T.I.? And is that about how T.I.'s music is aged?
It is. Because I really want to swap that.
How do you feel like Cole's, because I know we're really giving Cole a lot of credit for the bars that he's been putting in and the bar work he's been putting in, but how does his material match up next to T.I.'s material album for album?
See, that's what I mean is that as T.I.'s catalog doesn't hold up as well, what you're finding is that some of Cole's music is subtle, and so some of the subtle stuff is holding really, really well to make it comparable. He's a superior MC. And that's no disrespect to Tip. Tip is our most versatile MC. Pusha's our most vicious MC. Face is our best overall MC. But Cole is the guy. How about this? If we had a fight, Cole would be the guy we take to the fight, Mike.
I don't know, man. I think I disagree with you on that. And maybe I hold T.I. a little bit too high. I got T.I. over Cole. But I understand where you're coming from.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. So after Face, if you wanted to swap Wayne for Pusha, you would have valid premise. If you wanted to swap Tip for Cole, valid premise. I'm not going to make it seem like when I wrote this list that those things weren't close for me. I feel like you could change out 2 through 5 if you wanted to, and I'd be how about this? You could change out 2 through 7 and I'd be okay with it. Like if you wanted to slide Ross all the way up to number 2 and Big Boy to number 3 and slide Pusha down to 7 and slide Cole down to 6, you would have a valid argument too. So I think that 1 through 7, but I'm not putting that nigga Andre up above all those niggas with all that classic shit that they did while he hasn't given us 3 verses of a rap song yet. That's just unfair.
No,
because the reality of the matter is that he should be number 1 on this list. How about this? You know what Face is on this list? Is actually what Andre should be. Be like, so Andre's number 1 on this list, and then we're going to get the Face, and then we're going to talk about the rest of these niggas. That's how this list is supposed to go. And so Andre is no, Andre is turning into the biggest what if in hip hop history. I'm gonna say this again. Scarface is clearly number 1 on this list. It's clearly supposed to be Andre,
according to a lot of people.
And think about where Scarface is all time. Scarface is in almost everybody's top 10 MC list all time. So if I'm telling you today that it's supposed to be Andre Easy, we're supposed to be having a real conversation about this guy being the greatest MC of all time. But we're not having that conversation now, are we, 8?
Well, Face said the same thing. Mike 100 with the super chat says, Coop Wayne got 3 peats, multi mixtape classics, and a longevity conversation.
No, all those mixtapes aren't like that. That's why I bought up. Like, how about this? You can put Wayne's 2 best mixtapes next to Re-Up Gang Volume 1 and Volume 2, and it's comparable.
I don't know, man. Dedication 2 is just overwhelmingly a classic to most people. And again, I'm not a super Wayne fan that.
I'm not a super Dedication 2 fan like everybody else is.
People love Dedication 2. And what's the other one, guys? Say it in the chat. I see the cover in my face.
I'm an Alien?
Nah, not one? That. Top of that with the super chat says, is Trilogy a top 50 Southern album? Underrated. What's that Wayne mixtape? I'm having a brain freeze right now. It'll come to me in a second. But yeah, Wayne got that mixtape. No, that's what
I'm saying, Mike. The shit that slaps like that, you remember though. That's why I thought the conversation. I remember Re-Up Gang Volume 1, Volume 2. I remember when Grindin' dropped.
Well, I'm more of a fan of.
I remember Daytona. If like niggas have to think about it, it's out the conversation. It's kind of like that eye test thing. It's like you supposed to be like,
Drought 3.
Hold up, classic shit. Yeah.
Nah, the Drought 3. The Drought 3.
Oh, the Drought 3.
Yeah.
Hell no, that's not better. Like, how about this? Go listen to Re-Up Gang Volume 1 and Volume 2. Go listen to the Drought 3.
No ceilings is what I'm. Thank you, Free.
You're thinking about no ceilings. Is what I'm thinking
That's
more comparable.
Yeah, ceilings is what I'm talking about.
So no ceilings, and what was the other one? The first one you named?
007 even text me, said no ceilings. No ceilings, Dedication 3, and you got the Drought 3.
No ceilings and Dedication is more comparable, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you remember Raid? Like, what's the shit Ron like? Raid? With 50 and I'm sorry, like
Nas
this is
the
thing when you have
says,
notoriety. People don't know Push's catalog like they should.
Nas the Goat says, can y'all please explain why Future is not a rapper? I'm just saying for my personal, and y'all know me, man. I've been on here. I have championed Future over and over and over again. I think Future is the most impactful artist over the past 10 years, right? But when it comes to ranking him with other rappers, it's just so difficult to do based on his style. I don't know if he's a singer. I don't know if he's a rapper. It's very difficult. Like, for the people who are asking me this, what would you say Future's best verse is?
I could say the same thing about Thug, though, couldn't we?
Yeah, I don't have him on here either. It's very difficult. I mean, I think they're great overall artists. But when it comes to, like, an MC list, I mean, maybe that's just my mind going to the bar work and all that stuff, but it's very hard to even quantify. You know what I mean? Mike
I feel
Sean
that way
Williams
about Thug,
says,
but I don't feel that way about Future, Mike, in all honesty.
Okay. Mike, I'm going to let you say what you got to say. Mike Sean Williams says, the Carter 2 is Lil Wayne's best work. Throughout the entire album-wise, anything else he puts out will never match up to the quality that Carter 2 has.
100.
I love Future, man. I love Future.
Money on My Mind, Fly Out, Oh No, Best Rapper Alive, More Fight. That toss you like a fruit salad, strawberry grape. Yeah, they balling when they can, and I'm balling by nature. Addicted to the game like Jordan and Peyton.
Yo, let me ask you this, though. What is your favorite Future verse? What's Future's best rap verse?
That's the problem with all of these new guys.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard, man.
No, truthfully.
And I love Mask Off. I love I love.
I'm gonna say this respectfully with some of the people on this list. Oh no, that's the problem that with Dolph, with Future, with Gunna, with 21, with Lil Baby. It's a problem with all of them. They don't have standout verses.
I could say 21 May. Right?
No.
He has distinctive verses, like his verse on Quavo's album. I love his verse on Metro's album. He had 2 solo songs on there. On Bang Outside, I Hang Outside. I mean, he has some stuff.
Maybe that you want to know what that for Savage? Maybe that right there, yeah. But even he's become a better rapper since then, though, Mike.
He has.
When you say that, it's like, well, that was the old Savage, and this guy's a better rapper now. So it's like, when you say that.
I like some of his verses on his first mixtape.
I don't.
LP with the super chat says, Pusha on Volume 2 is the template for today's punchline street rapper. His punches, metaphors, subject matter were all ahead of its time. Wayne bit Pusha.
There's that too. Hold on, how about this? There's what happened to that boy too. Ugh. Another soul lost. Had to make his shirt match my ox blood colored Porsche. Ugh. The rims match, of course. Blood hit his Timbs. It reminded me of them. Glistening, wrist on chiller. Gun in the same palm, a gorgeous killer. I put this on my lord. My niece was 4 when she felt chinchilla.
LP
Come
said,
on, man.
I'm the best since he died and he
like
lied.
Wayne don't talk that street shit like that because he ain't lived that street shit like that.
LP says, I'm the best since he died and he lied. Push. Look, I mean, 22 niggas, 2 to a car, 11 flagships with the 3-point star. The only other ballers is them 3-point stars. We only 5'9", they think we point guards. No jumper, still with the top of the key. Yeah,
hold on. This is the guy on Mercy and on New God
like
Flow
Air
too.
Jordans.
Right. You know, Roof gone, George Jefferson.
Yeah. That
white frost on that pound cake, so your Duncan Hines is irrelevant. Yeah, this is the same guy. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Soulmatic says that 2 Chainz is nicer than Future. And you know what? Yeah, I agree with that. And I think Future's probably the better overall artist. But I can actually quantify, you know what I'm saying, some 2 Chainz versus to be able to have some sort of evidence on that. That's why it's difficult to have Future on here.
I have Future on my list. I don't have Thug on my list because I really couldn't recall Thug rapping outside of like contribution stuff early. But Future did rap. Like, he did.
Oh, no. Future can rap. But it's like, is his rap stuff his best stuff? Like, the Future that we know and that is the influence.
Dirty Sprite's his best stuff. So that's him rapping.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, his best stuff is actually still him rapping. Even on Jumpman, like his best song for me is still Jumpman.
Oh, yeah, listen, man, he always kills Drake.
In
my opinion, look, he carries Drake. Let's just say that.
He was trying to join the team. I told her, wait, chicken, fries, and fries. We don't go on dates. Like, no. He's spitting on there.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of which, I think some of my favorite Future verses, they kind of come to me now. I liked him on Oxycontin, which is on the album with him and Juice WRLD. With Wayne's on there.
I know some Oxycontin. Yeah, everybody knows Oxycontin.
And I loved him on Submate, which is...
See, that's what I'm saying. He's got verses and hooks and stuff like that. Thug doesn't have that. Most of Thug shit you remember is like some sing-songy shit. Future actually has verses that you can remember. And so, like, I even want to be careful with that. Like, people just need to go listen to Pusha T's shit. Like, for real. Like, that early clips, Re-Up Gang stuff, like, before his solo career. Like, he had a whole classic career with his group member and with his crew before he did his solo shit. You understand?
I mean, the fact that Pusha T is arguably the second best rapper coming out the South. That's something that we don't really think about, but you're giving a really good case. Bagger Jones with the super chat says Gilly wrote for Wayne. Points taken away for that.
Hold on. I thought about that too. I thought about the ghostwriting aspect because I thought about Pusha's verse on Trap or Die too.
Yeah, I thought about that
Tuxedo all white, something like my prom night. My teachers even saw jail. They ain't even read my palms right. Yeah, the flow gets more clever than ever. The flow gets brighter by the year. Killer minus the tattoo tear. Cause murder don't mix with the shit we got floating by the pier. Tell Hova don't pass the crown so soon. Unless he got a crown for every writer in the room. There's too many spirits on these ghost written tunes, so you can't crown an air until you seance the room. Oh, he talking greasy about these niggas, and these niggas are doing nothing. How are you going to put, hold on, if hip hop is about the streets, and if hip hop is based in the streets, and all things are comparable, and a guy is coming out and talking about you like that, and you don't even respond, you shook, and ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. I'm not putting no guy. I love Wayne. I can't put Wayne ahead of Push just about how it played out. Because when the strongest shit that you got is going up on Twitter saying Pusha T's a bitch, it's like, oh, well, he got you. And you his bitch. And he got you and your mans.
I mean, his verse on Illin alone.
Right. Yeah. No, this is rap, nigga. It goes Scarface and Pusha T, like the niggas who you can't fuck with.
LP with the super chat. Appreciate that $20 super chat, LP. He says, help my young girl see my way through the bachelor. Sent my old girl right back to her master's. Same graduation. I had the clapping in the rafters.
Right.
Man, yeah, Pusha T's, man. He's
hold on.
Pusha T the truth.
What's that shit? Hold on. What's that shit on Name Me King?
Hold
on.
Hold on. We got to get through this list. We like 3 hours in.
What do you say? The rainbow rolly, he's got so much shit.
He's got
man.
A lot of material, man. And I was even listening.
So much shit. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He's roasted a lot of niggas low key. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, he done jumped on Jeezy shit, flamed up Jeezy. He done flamed up Game on his shit. He flamed up 50 on Raid. He be flaming niggas up low key. He flamed up Jay, Saha, and Kanye on So Appalled. Success is what you make it. Take it. When has Wayne ever performed like that with that type of talent in the room?
Yeah, So Appalled is a big one.
Take it how it comes. A $500,000 like a Billy where I'm from. An arrogant drug dealer, the legend I become. CNN said I'd be dead by 21. Black Jack, literary devices, I just pulled an ace. You looking at the king in his face. Everything I dream, motherfucker, I'm watching it take shape. While to you, I'm just a young rich nigga that lacks faith. Range Rover, leather roof, love war, fuck a truce. Still move a bird like I'm in bed with Mother Goose. Them hoes coming in a baker's dozen, claiming they was with me when they know they really wasn't. I keep the city's best, never said she was the brightest. So if you had a 2, it don't affect me in the slightest. I never met a bitch that didn't need a little guidance, so I dismiss her past until she disappoints your highness. Wayne ain't never stepped into the booth and set niggas on fire like that, in a scenery like that. He hasn't. That's Jay, Kanye, and Sci-Hi in their prime in the room, and Pusha T's the best MC in the room. So, he's number 2 after Scarface.
Well, people are saying Wayne on Forever.
No, like I said, that's Jay-Z, Kanye, and Sci-Hi on the track. Who's on Forever? Eminem and Drake? Yay.
All right. Let's go to your full top 10, and then we're gonna go 11, 15. I think we're just gonna get the top 20 today. And I think I need to go back and rework my individual or my original list. And
so let's
kind of go from there.
So you're right. Let's go because we've been on this motherfucker for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I got Bun B at 11. Listen to this: Bun B at 11, MJG at 12.
Okay.
8 Ball at 13. Pimp C at 14. Killer Mike at 15. Fonte at 16. Currency at 17. J Electronica at 18. 2 Chainz at 19. And Mystical at 20.
Okay.
21 is Project Pat. 22 is Juvenile. 23 is Jeezy. 24 is Sci-Hi. And 25 is Rhapsody.
Okay.
Yep.
I like it. I'm going to rework mine.
Yeah. Let's rework it and talk about it. I kind of figured this was going to happen too, but I'm going to tell you something. The most important thing that happened in the last 5 years, and this is what I mean, and you know this too. Time, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, look at that list. Look at how high you had Andre.
Yeah.
I want people to understand this. So many people be in this chat. It's like, yo, Coop, you be bullying Mike. It's like the biggest shift in this show has been the fact that I didn't just have Andre as the best Southern MC, Mike. Didn't I? When we were starting the show, didn't I have Andre in my top 5 as in all time? And you were like,
I had to go on a few rants. And Andre is my favorite rapper.
You didn't go on a few rants, Mike. You went on about 6 months worth of rants before I literally woke up one day and I realized it's like, this nigga Mike is right. This nigga Andre don't have no bars. Like, Andre doesn't have an incarcerated Scarfaces, a Quiet Storm. So how can we even compare him to Prodigy and Raekwon?
We can't.
And you
not even a We Gonna Make It.
Here with Nas. Hold on. So we gonna put him over here with Nas and fair. Big and Jay, and we don't even know if he can do what Prodigy and Ray can do. We don't even know if he can do what his fucking co-worker and band member can do. We don't even know if he can make a song to the level that Big Boy can make.
We don't know.
And we're sitting there giving him this. So all these people feeling like it's like I got Mike off of some Jay-Z pivot point. No. The biggest tipping point in the show is Mike got me off my Andre tipping point, because on most top 10 lists that I used to do, I had Andre somewhere between 4 and 8. Andre has made lists where I put him ahead of Tupac about how he's performed on the mic. And you're the one that's told me, it's like, that's not fair to those other guys. He's like that. When I remember a list I gave you one time, it's like, you can't have KRS-One this far behind Andre. KRS-One's done too many solo songs, Coop.
Yeah. I mean, Andre doesn't have one single song where it's him and 3 verses. He's been in the game for, 28 years now. And we don't have one single song where, like, who else can we say that about?
You want to know how crazy this is? You want to know how crazy people are? There's a guy who follows us on YouTube right now that I just said that to, and he actually tried to bring up the Love Below, because for some of them, that shit that Andre's actually doing, like, confines them to, like, some sort of rap category. And I'm like, no, dude,
he's not rapping
he doesn't even have 3 whole verses, really. Like, he has 3 verses on the entire Love Below. Yeah. I'm talking about 3 verses on a song. And it's like, even some of these dudes now, they don't understand that it's like Jay-Z had to make Dead Presidents, Mike. No, Jay-Z had to make Dead Presidents to qualify the shit that he was talking like he was on Nas and Jay's level. He had to give us 3 verses.
He gave us 5 verses.
Of not just, if you want to go through both
he
versions,
gave us the first version, and the second version has 3 fresh new verses.
Listen, hold on. He gave us 5 verses
on one song
to prove who he was, and we were still like, yeah, put that guy in 3rd place. Right. Andre doesn't even have that.
No.
Andre doesn't have 5 verses on
the Love Below.
The Love Below.
He doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Jay got 5 verses on Dead Presidents.
On one song.
I said this in YouTube. I was like, Jay from 1996, and I was using this because people keep saying this is a Nas channel. I was like, Jay did more in 96 to 2000 than Andre 3000 has done with his whole career. What are we talking about? And they're like, you can't move the goalposts.
No. You're giving
way.
I'm
not moving the goalposts. I'm showing you what this real rap shit sound like, because most of that shit that Jay did was solo.
Cool. You're giving him too much credit. Jay did more in 96 and 97, bar-wise, than Andre's done the whole tenure of Outkast. Count the verses. And this is from an Outkast fan. And see, this is my thing. We can give Andre props, but we have to give Outkast as a collective those props. A lot of those props that y'all should be giving Outkast, y'all are giving to Andre individually, and that's not fair to the unit that made these songs. Now, you don't get individual credit if you didn't do the individual work. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not that too, and this is why I've had to start unpacking where it really sounds like Big Boy is the author of all their big songs outside of Southern Playalistic. AT-Aliens is Big Boy. Elevators is Big Boy. Rosa Parks, Big Boy. Miss Jackson, Big Boy. So Fresh, So Clean, Big Boy.
I would say that the hook for Miss Jackson's probably Dre, but everything.
No, the hook is Dre.
But the concept?
The concept is Big Boy.
Ant Learn says, where y'all rank Mac from No Limit? Is Mac from New York? I thought Mac was from New York.
Mac's not from the South.
Yeah.
I thought about putting Fiend on here, actually.
I need to visit that. I'm going to revisit all of this.
My list is quick, too, but I'm going to tell you how my list ends, though. Can I tell you my number 50?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mad Skills from Virginia.
That's a good one.
Mad Skills. Remember the album? Remember From Where?
Yeah.
Nod Factor. I got your head nodding because your neck nose is fat. Check it out like this and then like that.
One of the greatest ghostwriters of all time.
Yeah. Arguably the greatest ghostwriter of all time. And yeah, Nod Factor.
I think Saha's up there as far as one of the greatest ghostwriters of all time.
Might be more notable, but not better.
Astro World's impressive. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is impressive.
I retract that statement just because you said those two albums.
I got to give him credit.
No. I retract that statement.
Mike Sean Williams says, Gilly didn't write everything for Wayne, though I thought it was only Carter 1. Everything else that Wayne ever put out was all him, and that's facts. See, this is my only problem with that. And I'm not trying to be funny, and look, Wayne's done so much work in this game, super impressive. But when Wayne changes modes, he's a totally different rapper. And those are the type of things that make people think, is there some help going on? Like, I get from the wobbly to Carter 1, that's just growth and probably influence or whatever. But when you look at that Carter 3 to even Not a Human Being to now, it's like, this ain't even the same person. You should, like, we've heard Jay flip up his style and flows, but he still sounds like Jay-Z lyrically. Like, some albums are more lyrical than others, but it's never one of those things where it's like, yo, is this even the same person?
So what if I were to tell you that Wayne never had any formal training, but he had the talent, and that the Carter 1 with Gilly was the only former training that he got, and that once that training was done, he was okay. I want you to notice that it's like I almost never talk about the Carter 1. You want to know why? Because I don't count the Carter 1 like that, because I know Gilly wrote that shit. All right? And you can tell that Gilly wrote that shit.
Even the slang.
Gilly's from, hold on. Because listen to what I'm about to say. Because Gilly's from Philly. And so when people are like, oh, Wayne sounds like Jay-Z, I'm like, nah, Jay-Z is taking Philly's whole style around that time. And that's why
the
Wayne and Jay don't sound alike. They're both jacking Philly's style in different ways. Like Jay has Beans and Freeway and Chris and Neef and Oskino and Sparks right there. And Wayne's got Gilly coming down to the boot to fuck with him. But for whatever the Carter 1 is and whatever Gilly did on the Carter 1, respectfully to Gilly, well, Wayne blew that fucking shit out the water without you on Carter 2. So really all he needed was some coaching and some help, and you provided appropriate coaching and help. So do I think Gilly co-wrote the Carter 1? Oh, hell yeah. Do I think that the best 5 to 7 tracks on the Carter 2 literally blow everything on the Carter 1 out of the fucking water outside of Go DJ? Like, out the water, Mike. Like, out the water, it's not
my
a
favorite
conversation.
project from him, yeah.
Right. And so it's like, no, the nigga that spit game is really ill is really on No Ceilings, Dedication, Drought, Carter 2, 3. The guy that's on Carter 1 is still putting his modernized flow together. And quite frankly, it's okay for a New York nigga to take Philly whole sound, but it's not okay for an NO nigga to do it, huh?
Antline says Mac was born and raised in New Orleans. I'm going to get to this last super chat. We're going to get up out of here. Homeboy Blaze.
I'm going to check Mac, because Mac was dope.
Homeboy Blaze says, where do y'all rank Big Crit? He has classic mixtapes and at least 2 great albums. Talk about Crit and we'll get out of here.
Got Crit at 28.
28? Okay.
28.
I'm going to rework my list. We're going to revisit this on Friday. What's being released on Friday? We'll be up to date on that. But I think this is a topic that we could really
the Primo shit and Game albums.
Oh, yeah, the Primo. And everybody's wondering where Game's at. So, yeah. We're going to be talking about the Primo Friday, and we're going to revisit this list, and we'll talk about whatever else it is, man. We appreciate y'all rocking with us today. We still got 300 people in here. Everybody hit that subscribe button. Make sure that y'all go pick up that yearbook 2020 and 2021. Got 2022 coming with the data that we're putting together. And Ant learned with another super chat before we go. He says, didn't the Carter 2 get leaked? Wayne had to make another album. Wayne works, man.
Work like Wayne.
Work like
Wayne was a thing. Work like Wayne was a thing when we was an MC down here. You remember that, Mike?
Yep.
It's like, yo, nigga, you want to get on, you better work like Wayne. It's like, the nigga's working all the time, though. It's like, nigga, you better work all the time. It's like, oh, okay.
And let's get up out of here. Appreciate y'all again, man. And we're going to holler at y'all Friday.